Chapter 1301, Joining White Robe Hall. That makes sense. However, this person is indeed extraordinary. It's a pity that the Red Dragon Queen doesn't like male wizards. Otherwise, if we were to pair them up, our priory might have another ally at the primordial soul level in the future. For a small sect like the Dragon Descendant Priory struggling to survive among the large sects, one had to learn how to rope in friends. In the Endless Sea. Witch's family. Triss's cabin. Recently, Triss had been busy researching potions and hadn't had the time to look at the projection. She asked the butler to keep an eye on Anya's movements. What made her gratified was that Anya was safe and sound up until now, and his strength was improving. Perhaps, this kid might be able to advance to the Fifth Circle Realm in the Ancient Tower. I don't have to worry about him after he advances to the Fifth Circle Realm. With his personality, he won't provoke a primordial soul wizard anyway. With the trump cards I left for him, it's enough to protect himself in the wizard world. Triss decided to let go. Under her protection, it was impossible for Anya to truly grow. If Anya wanted to attain a primordial soul, he would have to work hard on his own. After watching Anya's projection, the Ancient Tower happened to play the latest battle on the 5th floor. It was a battle between a dragon descendant wizard and the Amethyst race. The Red Dragon Queen, it's actually her. I didn't expect her to enter as well. She is the daughter of the senior from the Sleeping Dragon realm. Unfortunately, she's too rebellious and has found a female companion. Triss shook her head. She could completely understand her senior's difficulties. Because she had once suspected that Anya liked men. Her thoughts were more traditional, and she still hoped that after Anya's cultivation had reached a certain level, he could find a female companion to give birth to the crystal. On the screen, the Red Dragon Queen was no match for the Amethyst race. A red-robed male wizard with long hair and an ancient umbrella stepped forward, and 9 fire dragons swept out. In the next moment, the Amethyst race was exterminated. This umbrella-shaped wizard tool is extremely extraordinary. It should be one of the best among the top-grade items. If this child advances to the primordial soul realm in the future, this wizard tool has the hope of becoming a true soul artifact. Speaking of which, when can Anya reach this level? I will be completely at ease as his mother if he can reach this level. In the wizard world, there were all sorts of strange shapes of wizard tools. A big man holding a red umbrella, although feminine, was also very common. Sea of Stars. Rust Island. The white-haired Rust Dragon Wizard listened to the Red Dragon Queen's report. I didn't expect the Fire Dragon Wizard to be so powerful. From the looks of it, his craftsmanship level is not inferior to Silverbeard's at all. Or rather, he had learned from a primordial soul realm weapon-making master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to have such a top-grade 5th circle wizard tool. Red Dragon Queen nodded and said, "Yes. This lava secret sword of mine is very comfortable to use. So, you can relax from now on. Master Fire Dragon's weapon-making skills can definitely create high-quality items. I understand. You and Blue Dragon should go into seclusion and strive to enter the perfected 5th circle stage as soon as possible. This way, we'll have more confidence in facing the enemy forces." All right. After the Red Dragon Queen left, the Rust Dragon Wizard sighed. The Amethyst race's attack this time was not a coincidence. He remembered the arrogant attitude of the wizards from the 9 Cities Alliance when he was negotiating with them. Rust Dragon Wizard was furious, and the rusty dragon scales flashed on his forehead. Several days later. Gondif Island. 4 Elders' Palace. Silverbeard had gone missing, and the only ones left here were Madame Mercale, Redbone Wizard, and the Rust Dragon Wizard. Moreover, the Red Dragon and Blue Dragon sisters, as well as a few other wizards from the White Robe Hall, had also arrived. "Everyone, I called you here today because I want the Blue Dragon and Red Dragon sisters to share the seats of the 5 elders. Since Farah escaped, this position can't be left empty. I wonder if everyone agrees to this," asked Rust Dragon Wizard. Redbone Wizard said, "I agree. I think the 2 sisters are not far from reaching the perfected 5th circle stage. Moreover, the Red Dragon Queen and the Fire Dragon Wizard recently killed a level 5 Amethyst race warrior together. Their strength and prestige are obvious to all." Madame Miracle nodded in agreement. In the end, the proposal was passed by all the members. The second suggestion is to let the Fire Dragon Wizard join the White Robe Hall. As the most important weapon-making master of our Wizard Association, he also has the power to kill the Amethyst race. "I believe everyone agrees with this," asked Rust Dragon. But I heard that he relied on a wizard tool to help the Red Dragon Queen kill the Amethyst race. His true strength might not even be as strong as a 5th Circle Senior Wizard. A 5th Circle Senior Wizard frowned. Red Dragon Queen smiled and said, "Wizard tools are part of a wizard's strength." "Why? Do we have to exclude wizard tools in a life and death duel? Moreover, I see that Master Fire Dragon's spiritual force has almost reached the level of a 5th Circle Senior Wizard." Red Bone Wizard said, "There's no need to stick to formalities during special times. Give the capable a little respect. It'll help keep him here." In the end, after a discussion, the Fire Dragon Wizard who was in seclusion at home suddenly received a notice from the 5 Elders' Palace. He looked at the brand new White Robe Hall token and smiled. Year 1208 of the Holy Brilliance Calendar, month of the Northern Wind. Dragon Palace Island. Levi was sweating profusely in the closed-door training ground, and his spiritual force was highly concentrated. In his mind, inside the 7-colored crystal, there was an earth-shattering change. Countless pure white chi lingered in it and it was dense. In the end, a pure white spiritual object was born. Levi's figure could be vaguely seen in the spiritual object. He was in a chaotic world. Ether was born and divided into the 4 forces of earth, fire, wind, and water. Then, frost, thunder, and metal descended. In addition, darkness, light, and countless other forces converged again. Chapter 1302, Golden Armored Dragon Demon. In the end, a small soul that looked like Levi sat cross-legged in the barrier with a calm expression. The first maximum soul has been born. This internal energy crystal shattering technique is truly difficult. After obtaining the technique, Levi studied it day and night. After half a year, he finally condensed the first one. The first technique is the easiest for the crystal shattering technique. The more difficult it is, the longer it takes. It'll be enough if I can successfully condense 49 techniques within 100 years. He placed his hand on Klein Crystal Ball. Spiritual Force, 700/1070. Spell Power, 70,000. My spiritual force has already reached the standard of a 5th Circle Senior Wizard. This is the advantage of having a good foundation. I've only been a 5th Circle Wizard for more than 10 years, but my spiritual force has already surpassed most 5th Circle Wizards. Right now, Levi was only 2 5th Circle innate spells away from becoming a true 5th Circle Senior Wizard. After ending his seclusion, Levi arrived at the Botanical Garden. By relying on Holy Infant's current status to collect black beast flesh and blood, Long was able to eat continuously and produce golden rubbish steadily. Levi had already accumulated a lot of these fertilizers. It should be enough for him to transform a botanical garden in the ancient Saint Plain. Long's body size was still about 100 meters, and his production was basically fixed. No matter how much black beast meat he was fed, Long wouldn't be able to eat them all. If Levi wanted to increase production of the fertilizers, he had to let Long grow stronger again. It was difficult to do so in a short period of time. After all, a 5th level black beast was not common. Speaking of which, with my current strength, it won't be a problem for me to win against the Thunderbolt Archmage. This guy has plundered many of the spoils of war from nomadic wizards. If I capture him, these spoils of war will be mine. Thinking of this, he left Dragon Palace Island and flew toward the Io continent. He wanted to find an opportunity to test the might of the brilliant golden dragon armor in actual combat. Thunder Basin. Thunder Punishment Tribunal. After several years of slaughter, the temperament of the Thunderbolt Archmage had become even gloomier. In the past few years, the Empire began to encircle and annihilate the evil mages on a large scale, destroying many heretic strongholds. Thunderbolt Archmage had personally participated in many battles, and the number of evil mages who died under his hands was increasing. Among the evil mages, he even earned the title Thunder Devil. These despicable foreigners deserve to die. Thunderbolt looked at the relic of the Thunder Pool. As the Thunder elemental spirit dissipated, the Thunder Pool also dried up. On this day, as usual, after finishing his cultivation, Thunderbolt led the mages of the tribunal and prepared to go out to hunt down the evil mages. A handsome blonde youth leaned against a pillar and smiled as he asked, "Sir, are you the Thunderbolt Archmage?" "Yes, who are you?" "Tell me your name," Thunderbolt asked calmly. "Me? I'm just a nameless person. Today, I'm here to take your head," said the golden-haired youth with his arms crossed. "Ha ha ha ha, how arrogant," Thunderbolt laughed in anger. Lightning flashed in his eyes, and the staff in his hand shook violently. In the next moment, under the dried-up thunder pool, Countless purple lightning that looked like lightning liquid emerged. The thunderbolts condensed into a 100-meter-long purple lightning snake. It raised its head and puffed out its chest, charging toward the young man. The golden-haired young man smiled. Countless golden auras surrounded him, and brilliant golden light soared into the sky. In the next moment, a golden figure about 10 feet tall appeared out of thin air. He wore golden armor and had wings on his back. There was a single horn on his forehead and his head was like a dragon. Dragon Demon. Thunderbolt Archmage was shocked and stopped underestimating his enemy. Boom! The golden hands of the Dragon Demon tore apart the lightning snakes. He was bathed in lightning as his armor rumbled. Suppress! In the next moment, a golden divine palace suddenly appeared in the void and descended from the sky. In an instant, it suppressed Thunderbolt Archmage. Thunderbolt's expression was ferocious. The force field formed by the lightning around his body kept expanding until it exploded like a purple sun. Cracks appeared on the golden divine palace and it was about to shatter. At this moment, the golden figure had already closed in. His golden dragon claw struck Thunderbolt's force field and shattered it. Seeing this, Thunderbolt took out a divine talisman without hesitation. I'll let you experience the power of Thunder Hive Stone. Thunderbolt sneered. The level 5 upper divine talisman that had always been successful flew out and exploded. 10,000 thunderbolts descended on the world, causing cracks to appear on the ground and lava to gush out. Within the Thunder territory, the Golden Snake Divine Palace stood proudly, resisting countless thunderbolts before shattering. In the next moment, a golden light tore through the sea of lightning and arrived in an instant. Whoosh! Wherever the golden light passed, the ground was plowed up and destroyed. Before Thunderbolt Archmage could react, the golden light had already shattered his powerful force field and his defense Dharma artifact. His head had been blown off, leaving only his body standing there in a daze. Then, he fell to the ground, his aura completely gone. The battle had not started for long. However, Thunderbolt Archmage was dead. Thunder Devil's sinful life had come to an end. The Supreme Eye appeared and looked at the golden armored figure that had killed Thunderbolt Archmage before dissipating. Levi killed all the mages of the Thunder Punishment Tribunal as if he had entered an uninhabited realm. After reaching level 5, Leon was able to taste delicious souls. Now, I can be considered to have avenged that kid, Anya, said Levi indifferently. Levi kept all the spoils of war. After destroying the Thunder Punishment Tribunal, he left. With the brilliant golden dragon armor, I don't need to activate the three-headed dragon god to kill a 5th circle senior wizard. The power of this golden light is too terrifying. Rumors say that the golden light of the golden horn beast can destroy an entire world. It's not just an exaggeration. Chapter 1303, Meeting Anya. The most up-to-date novels are published on Frugnoelo. Chaos City. On the bounty board, a wanted criminal's name suddenly appeared and rose very quickly. In the end, it overtook an evil mage named Firechild Mage. Golden Armored Dragon Demon, crime is cruel murder of Thunderbolt Archmage. Everyone's gazes landed on those words, and they were filled with disbelief. Even Thunderbolt Archmage is dead? This dragon demon is truly detestable. Yeah, these foreigners are too arrogant. Lord Supreme Archmage, quickly unleash your divine might and destroy these bad people. Some large organizations' intelligence departments sent the information on the bounty list back to the organization in real time. Skyfire Fortress. Simon looked at the name list in his hand. Undying Dragon Demon, Gold Armored Dragon Demon. I didn't expect that so many dragon abominations are still wandering so arrogantly outside. This really makes me unhappy. To be able to kill Thunderbolt Archmage, this dragon abomination's strength is not bad. I hope that one day, you will fall into my hands. As a member of the Dragon Clan, your final fate is to be slaughtered by me. The flames burned the name list. Simon took out a huge skull of a level 5 dragon abomination from his ring and began to carve arrays on it. As he carved, he muttered, "It's your honor to still fight for me after death." Dragon Palace Island. Levi returned with a full load. He opened Thunderbolt Archmage's storage ring. There was a pile of unused level 5 beast skins inside. The success rate of a level 5 divine talisman was very low, and the consumption of beast skin for it was quite high. Therefore, these things were good stuff for Levi. I'll give it to Holy Infant as a gift the next time I meet him. He was like a parent who gave his child simulation questions as a birthday present. How vicious! There were also 3 divine talismans with myriad thunder patterns drawn on them. Thunder Hive Stone. It's a level 5 talisman. It's as powerful as an attack from a perfected 5th circle wizard. This talisman wasn't made by Thunderbolt Archmage but by his famous senior brother. Myriad Thunder Archmage was a powerhouse at the peak of level 5. With Holy Infant's current level, the level 4 Fire Dragon Tribulation Talisman could be called a high-grade level 4 talisman. The power of a single Fire Dragon Tribulation Talisman was far inferior to this. However, if 100 of them were thrown together, the Fire Dragon Tribulation Talisman would still be stronger. Thunder Silver Iron, a level 5 metal. Good stuff, it's a must for the future forging of the Thunder God. There were a lot of resources in Thunderbolt Archmage's storage ring. The vast majority of them came from nomadic wizards. Levi accepted all of these with a smile. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a silver wizard tool that looked like a hair clip in the corner, emitting a faint silver light. This hair clip was obviously not an ordinary item. It should be a top-grade wizard tool. He took it out and found that the hair clip looked familiar. Levi's nose twitched and he sniffed. There was also a familiar feminine fragrance. That's strange. It seems to be Madame Triss' body fragrance. In his impression, he seemed to have seen Triss wear this silver hair clip before. Coupled with this familiar smell, he could not be wrong. Looks like Madame Triss used this hair clip as her trump card and gave it to Anya for protection. In the end, Anya was captured and this wizard tool was confiscated. This child is really pitiful. As a primordial soul wizard's top-grade wizard tool, its power was definitely extraordinary. With Levi's current level of weapon refinement and his attainments in arrays, he would be able to crack it and use it in a short period of time. However, there was no need. Triss had treated him well, so he wouldn't take advantage of her. It just so happens that I'm planning to meet Anya. I'll return this to its rightful owner. After sorting out the spoils of war, Levi changed his appearance and flew towards the Deep Blue Organization. Deep Blue Organization. Witch's family's residence. Anya opened his eyes and exhaled. After more than 40 years of training in the ancient tower, his spiritual force had become more and more profound. However, Anya couldn't be happy. Instead, he sighed, I'm still a little bit away from attaining perfection in the 4th circle realm. Not long ago, the Phantom Witch had successfully advanced to the 5th circle and was now stabilizing her realm. This made Anya a little anxious, worried that he was the only one left behind. Therefore, he accepted missions more frequently and obtained more resources to boost his cultivation. After preparing the equipment for this long journey, Anya rushed out of the city. This time, he accepted a single mission with a lower difficulty. If everything went smoothly, he would be able to return in a few days. He held back his energy and told himself that he had to advance to the 5th circle realm within 10 years. He didn't know when, but he noticed that in the wilderness below, an old man in a white robe with a head full of white hair was riding an ordinary moose and strolling leisurely. The old man had a kind face and was tall. He held a huge staff in his hand. Gandalf. Anya was shocked. He had seen this old man before in the photos of the wanted criminals sent by the organization. Gandalf used to be in the top 20 of the bounty list, but over the years, it had fallen to over 30. However, to be able to take a direct hit from the Thunderbolt Archmage, his strength was evident. Anya had learned from the Phantom Witch that Gandalf had saved him and the group of nomadic wizards. Anya had always wanted to find an opportunity to thank Gandalf. It was a pity that this senior was elusive. There were many different opinions about his true identity. Some said that he was a native mage, while others said that he was a wizard. Gandalf was admiring the beautiful scenery when a voice suddenly came from behind him. Senior, as a rank 5 existence, why do you still have to ride this moose? Won't it take up a lot of time? Gandalf turned around and saw a young silver-haired wizard looking at him nervously. The young wizard stood on a long sword condensed from metal elements, his body straight. Chapter 1304, Bronze King Codex. Gandalf laughed, if we fly too fast, we won't be able to see the scenery on the side of the road. We have to have some leisure. Anya heard this and was deep in thought. As expected of a senior expert, just a few words were filled with deep thoughts. Senior, my name is Anya. The reason I took the liberty to talk to you is to thank you for saving my life, said Anya. Gandalf laughed and asked, Anya, right? Then let me ask you, how are you going to repay me? Are you going to devote your body to me? Or do you want to be my slave? Anya was stunned. He was stumped by Gandalf's question. That's right, with his strength that was not even at the 5th circle realm, how could he repay an existence that was on par with the Thunderbolt Archmage? Gondaf continued to ride the moose forward, while Anya stayed where he was. I have nothing now, but senior, can you leave me your contact information? I'll pay you a visit after I advance to the 5th Circle Realm, Anya said with a serious expression. Gondaf shook his head and said, you're too anxious, young one. To you, advancing is something that will happen naturally. Your current mentality might not be a good thing for your advancement. When Anya heard this, he smiled bitterly and said, Senior, you're right. I've been a little anxious lately. My friends are all in the 5th Circle Realm, but I'm still wandering around as a 4th Circle Wizard. I can't even protect myself in this Io continent, where there are so many strong warriors. Gondaf patted the moose's butt and said as he walked, I see that you're cultivating metal-type spell. Anya nodded and replied, yes, but we wizards are usually called the Bronze School. I have a friend whose child is born to be a metal elemental child. If you are willing to pass on some of your spells, it can be considered as repaying me, Gondaf said as he stroked his beard. Anya was stunned. He then said, that's easy. Although my inheritance isn't considered a top-notch inheritance, it should be no problem to cultivate to the level of a supreme mage in the future. Please wait a moment, senior. Anya took out a crystal ball and chanted, sending messages into it. This inheritance is called the Bronze King Codex. It records a lot of Bronze School's knowledge. Senior, would you like to take a look? Gondafa's expression was calm as he casually took the crystal ball and put it away. Then, he smiled and said, thank you. Senior saved my life, so this is nothing, said Anya. Gondaf thought for a moment and waved his hand. Streams of light appeared in front of Anya. The value of your inheritance is very high, enough to tempt many archmages. As a senior, I won't bully a junior like you. I just killed a dragon demon that committed all kinds of evil. Here are some 5th Circle Wizard tools. You can choose one, Gondaf said with a smile. I'm repaying you for saving my life. If I take away a 5th Circle Wizard tool, I won't ever be able to repay you. Anya shook his head like a rattle drum. Are you sure you don't want to take a look at them? Gondaf asked with a faint smile. Anya glanced at it, and then his eyes shrank. He discovered that there was a particularly familiar item among these wizard tools. Senior, did you obtain this silver hair clip from killing a dragon demon? Asked Anya. Gondaf nodded. Anya's face was filled with joy. He panted and said excitedly, Senior, this hair clip was a birthday present from my mother. It was obtained by the Thunderbolt Archmage after I was captured last time. From the looks of it now, after that dragon demon killed Thunderbolt Archmage, that dragon demon was killed by you, Senior. After some circulation, this hair clip ended up here. Oh? How could there be such a coincidence in this world? Fate is really wonderful. In that case, you can take it. I was wondering why there was a woman's fragrance on this hair clip. Aya blushed. Thinking of his mother who was far away in the endless sea, he actually missed home. I must go back alive. I can't let my mother live alone in the endless sea. Anya thought with determination. Anya took the hair clip away in embarrassment and said in a panicked manner, Thank you, Senior. You're welcome. I, Gondaf, am the happiest to uphold justice and save people in distress. When Gondaf said this, his eyes lit up. In Anya's eyes, Gondafa's words were sincere. Senior's realm is so high that most wizards would never be able to reach it in their entire lives, said Anya. Ha ha ha, it's just a habit that can't be changed. You should go. Don't disturb me from enjoying the scenery along the way. Gondaf waved his hand and rode on the moose. He hummed a nameless song that Anya could not understand and slowly disappeared. This is a true expert. Compared to the 5th Circle Wizards in the organization, they are far inferior to him. Anya stood where he was and was silent for a long time. He chanted a spell, and his magic power poured into the hair clip. In the next moment, the hair clip suddenly grew bigger. With a caw-caw sound, it seemed to be able to catch all the enemies in front of it. This is Mother's favorite hair clip. If I lose it, I'll definitely be scolded when I go back. Several days later, after completing his mission, Anya returned to the encampment. He calmed down and recalled Senior Gondafa's warning. Anya seemed to have understood something. Sierra had already consolidated her realm. When she saw the radiant Anya, she asked in surprise, Someone's in a good mood recently. Anya smiled and did not say anything. Sierra, you've just advanced to the 5th Circle realm. Is it convenient for you to tell me what to take note of? No problem. Dragon Palace Island. Levi threw the moose on the island. Chapter 1305, Holy Grail Clue. As a mortal beast, it seemed out of place in this terrifying place filled with level 5 creatures. The roars of dragons and beasts made its legs go weak. Since you were my mount before, I won't feed you too long. After Levi finished speaking, he returned to his seclusion and took out the Bronze King Codex that he had taken from Anya. Levi just wanted to take something small from Anya. Who would have thought that the kid would give such a valuable item to him? It's actually a book of inherited knowledge that leads directly to the primordial soul realm. This friend of Anya's is really something. Generally speaking, Codex-type spells inheritance books were extremely rare. There were many detailed records of the Bronze School's spell inheritance. The innate spell that Anya had created were basically modified from the spell on it. Next, I'll slowly study my 7th talent. He, when the time comes, there will be a sword deity who will appear in the world and amaze the world. Now that everything was ready, Levi continued his closed-door cultivation. 10 years to sharpen a sword that would shock the world. Year 1209 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, the month of beginning. It was the 44th year since the Dark Ancient Tower opened. The 108th Round Table meeting of the Twilight Knights. In front of the round table, Levi and his team members sat upright. The Thousand Illusion Knight wore a mask that looked like a white fox. She was extremely charming, and the smile on her lips never disappeared. This mask was the divine weapon she had forged for herself after she advanced to level 3. It was called the Thousand Illusions Mask. As the only 2 perception-type members in the organization, Levi had high hopes for her. After a long time, she was still quite powerful and finally advanced to level 3. The Thousand Illusions Mask could increase the perception of the Thousand Illusion Knight and allow her to change her appearance at will, just like a vampire. Other than that, it could also create illusions and trap the enemy. Moreover, this illusion was not ordinary. It was called Void Illusion. The Thousand Illusion Knight had done an experiment before. If one's willpower was not strong enough, they would be controlled by the illusion. This was because in the illusion, there were many women who were comparable to succubi. They had hot and curvaceous curves with endless charm. They claimed that they wanted to help you cultivate. Even after the illusion ended, the victim would not be able to recover in a short period of time and would fall into an empty sage mode. In the sage mode, the victim's willpower would be weakened, and they would lose all will to fight. If the victim could not recover quickly, then he would be at the mercy of others. Lust was a weapon. This was really too terrifying. Fortunately, Levi's willpower was as firm as iron. At the meeting, Levi learned that some time ago, a terrifying cataclysm beast had crossed the ocean. From the forsaken land of the gods, it spread to the outer seas and the human realm. It was suspected that the Black Dragon Mountain Empire was causing trouble. These cataclysm beasts were similar to black beasts. They were deformed and terrifying, and they were bloodthirsty. Even the entrance of the ancient Saint Plain was attacked by a group of cataclysm beasts that had accidentally barged in. Among them, there was even a level 5 cataclysm beast. However, thanks to the 7 kings of hell and the ancient saints' senior state assembly, the giant beast was killed in the array and did not enter the ancient Saint Plain. As I said, one day, we will welcome the change of the times. Now, this day has arrived. Everyone must fight to protect our homeland. After the meeting, Levi looked at the sea in the distance. He believed that the strength of the ancient Saint Plain would be enough to support Levi until he returned to the human realm. At that time, he would have the support of himself and the Flower Knight. He would not be afraid even if a level 6 existence came. After feeding long, Levi looked at the saint fruit saplings and the iron trees that were growing more and more happily and went back to cultivate in satisfaction. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, several months had passed. Sea of Stars. Fire Dragon Island. Rust Dragon Wizard arrived. Is Master Fire Dragon at home? He asked. Yes, please come in. A fiery passage appeared, and the Rust Dragon Wizard entered it. In front of Master Fire Dragon, armor and a shield floated, emitting a red light. Fortunately, I didn't fail you. 2 of the wizard tools have been completed. Holy Infant smiled as he said that. Rust Dragon Wizard's face lit up. He took out the 2 wizard tools and looked at them. They were both of fine grade quality. Thank you, Master. I admire your skills. Rust Dragon Wizard was already overjoyed that the Draconic Shield and Dragon Flame armor were of fine grade quality. It was enough for him to survive a portion of the disaster. It was just luck. Master, please choose 2 of them, said the Rust Dragon Wizard as he hurriedly took out 4 treasures. Holy Infant chose the Silver Scale Fruit and the Thunder Element Ore. The remaining book and the Water-type ore would be taken after the final transaction was completed. Master, recently we have been searching for the Amethyst race hiding in the Sea of Stars. I suspect that most of them are hiding in the red zone of the Sea of Stars. If you want to enter it to explore, please be careful, the Rust Dragon Wizard reminded Holy Infant. With Rust Dragon Wizard's cultivation base of perfection in the 5th Circle Realm, it was obvious how much he respected Holy Infant by calling him Master Fire Dragon. If it weren't for Holy Infant's ability to make weapons, perhaps the Rust Dragon Wizard wouldn't even look at him. Thank you for your reminder, Master. After the Rust Dragon Wizard left, Holy Infant found that Mia had sent him a message, so he went to the Star Bazaar. Fire Dragon Cabin. Mia looked at the information she had just collected, feeling agitated. When she saw Lord Ace, she quickly stood up and said, "My lord, I've found the clue about the Holy Grail that you asked me to find." He. Holy Infant's heart shook and he said, "Tell me about it." "It's like this. I heard from the president of the Adventurer Guild that a group of wizards left the Sea of Stars and headed to the Plains of Youth in the eastern part of the Io continent. It is said that there is a paradise there called the Ancient Banyan Fairyland. In the fairyland, there was a fairy who lived in the immortal holy spring that could prolong one's life with a sip. The local mortals called her the Goddess of Youth. Beside this goddess is a golden holy grail. My lord, look, this is a portrait of the goddess." Mia opened an ancient painting. There was a naked young girl on top of it. She was graceful, like a goddess. There was a golden holy grail in her hand and a giant dragon that looked like a long snake was carved on it. Seeing this, Levi was 100% sure that this was the holy grail of immortality that he was looking for. That was because the dragon looked similar to the immortal Banyan Dragon Lady, but it was thicker and more powerful. The last item of Sauron's 4 treasures, a mysterious treasure refined by the Forest King, Deuxis, is in the ancient Banyan Fairyland. Chapter 1306, Banyan Empire. Dragon Palace Island. Botanical Garden. Levi was delighted. "I've finally found the clue to the Holy Grail of immortality. The Plains of Youth is located in the eastern region of Io. This is the main area of activity of Storm City. It is jointly established by the 3 top wizard organizations, the Hurricane Sky Island, the Gale Steeple, and the Storm Divine Tower. Next, I'll get Holy Infant to go over there and scout out the situation. If it requires my presence, then I will go there." He did not know the background of the Goddess of Youth, so he did not dare to let his main body go rashly. After finishing his daily farm work, he returned to his secluded cultivation ground and continued cultivating. For him, doing farm work was one of the few forms of rest and entertainment. Condensing the soul to the maximum, breathing technique, meditation art, researching innate spells, the rune language, body tempering technique. Levi's daily homework increased. His biggest wish now was to get a few more reliable clones like Holy Infant to share some of his work. Unfortunately, an oddity that could give birth to an avatar could only be found by chance. In the illustrated book of oddities, the bright moon and the glorious sun level were excluded since Levi was miles away from getting them. Amongst all the morning star level oddities in the sky that could be obtained, those that could produce clones were extremely rare. Sea of Stars. Fire Dragon Island. Holy Infant gave Mia some instructions and informed the Rust Dragon Wizard before leaving the White Robe Wizard Association temporarily. In order to avoid any more trouble, he had to set off now. Inside the Fire Dragon cabin, Mia looked at Lord Ace, who was walking away, in a daze. Then, she came back to her senses. She took a deep breath and said, "I must advance to the 5th Circle Realm. I must." Just now, before he left, his lordship had told her that if Mia was interested in joining him, she should advance to the 5th Circle as soon as possible and return to the wizard world safely. She had always felt that she was extremely far away from the true geniuses of the wizard world. Now, such an opportunity was right in front of her eyes. She had to seize it. In the wilderness, Holy Infant flew carefully. The technique Mia gave him was too precious. He was not an ungrateful person. Mia might be the descendant of some big shot. If we have a good relationship, she might be useful in the future. Moreover, she's not a bad person, and she's good at dancing. She's suitable to be my manager. She's much better than those old men from the Dusk Holy Temple. Youth Grassland. Banyan Empire. Blackstone Town. In a mortal tavern, Holy Infant dressed as a wandering adventurer as he drank and gathered information. He looked young and handsome. Beside him, a few beautiful women from the small town kept staring at him. After coming to the Empire, Holy Infant found that the people here were especially energetic. All of this might be related to the Holy Fountain of Youth in the ancient Banyan fairyland. The Holy Fountain of Youth was most likely produced by the Holy Grail of Immortality. According to the information, immortal Banyan Dragon's abilities included this aspect of healing, health preservation, longevity, and so on. Legend had it that wherever the immortal Banyan Dragon passed, all living things would sprout and flowers would bloom. Big brother, are you also here to seek the water from the spring of immortality? A little girl with big watery eyes looked at Holy Infant curiously. Every day, there were tourists from other places who came because of this. She was already used to it. Yes, have you all drunk the water from the spring of immortality? Holy Infant asked, pinching her chubby cheeks. The little girl replied, yes. After the people here are born, their parents will go under the ancient banyan tree and pray to the goddess of youth to send spring water. The goddess is especially kind and will agree. However, in recent years, some evil and despicable foreigners often broke into the ancient banyan fairyland by relying on their spells. They stole the spring water privately and even tried to snatch the Holy Grail. This made the goddess very angry. She completely closed the door to the fairyland and forbade any outsiders from approaching. If they dared to steal the spring water, they would be punished by the goddess. Holy Infant was speechless. They could have gotten it easily, but they just had to try and steal it. Now, it had caused quite a bit of trouble for his operation. After a civilization became strong, the sin of arrogance was the easiest to breed. Especially when the wizards who claimed to be from a high-level civilization looked at these indigenous civilizations who were trapped in the tower without knowing it. Forget it, I'll go and take a look first. It'll be best if I can communicate with the goddess. If it really doesn't work, I'll think about it later. According to the descriptions of the locals. Since ancient times, the goddess of youth had never taken the initiative to hurt others. This was undoubtedly good news. After leaving the tavern, Holy Infant was about to leave when he realized that there were two figures fighting in the sky. One of them was wearing a black robe with a moon mark on his forehead. His skin was dark like the sky. Black Sun Adam's proudest disciple. Black Moon Yanan. It is said that he is also the Black Sun's son. He is ranked 56th on the ancient tower rankings. 20 years ago, he entered the 5th circle realm. Information about this person appeared in Holy Infant's mind. Generally speaking, those who could rank in the top 100 of the overall ranking when they had just entered the 5th circle realm were already geniuses. People like Yanan, who ranked 56th, were already top-notch geniuses. It could only be said that Yanan was slightly inferior to Simon, the Sky Dragon Wizard, and the Golden Light Wizard. A group of wizards in Storm Divine Tower uniforms were fighting against Yanan. They were led by a 5th circle wizard and surrounded Yanan. This 5th circle wizard was a witch. Behind her was an endless storm, as if a god had descended. This person must be a genius as well, but Levi had no impression of her. Chapter 1307, Fighting Black Moon. With his strength, he would only pay attention to the top 100 people on the ancient tower ranking. Yanan sneered, a bunch of nameless. How dare you stop me? You're simply courting death. As a dark wizard, you actually dare to barge into our Storm City's intersection. You don't know what death is. I, the Harpy Witch, have come today to see if the Black Moon is worthy of its name, said the witch, unwilling to be outdone. Die. Yanan didn't waste his breath. He waved his hand and a black sun with a diameter of 100 meters descended. It was as if a long night had descended. The sky was dark and dim. Black Sun Transformation. This was a combustion spell that Black Sun Adam had created based on the solar aggregation and the Black Sun meditation art, which contained powerful dark energy. Anyone who cultivated the Black Sun meditation art would have the flames in their body turn into a terrifying and unusual flame, the Black Sun demonic flame. This kind of flame was extremely vicious. It could release a poisonous aura that could burn and destroy everything. It was very destructive to the ecological environment. Therefore, when Black Sun Adam created it, he was suppressed by the Wizard Council. They felt that this method was not conducive to the long-term development of the wizard world. The Wizard Council demanded that Black Sun Adam change his cultivation or destroy his cultivation. As a peerless genius, How could Adam possibly tolerate this? He later became a dark wizard and deliberately spread the Black Sun meditation art on a large scale to go against the Wizard Council. Once upon a time, the lush forest witch's giant tree secret realm had been destroyed by this black flame. They had no choice but to move. Seeing this genius of the Black Sun steeple who had created 100 years of war between the dark and righteous wizards and indirectly destroyed the Great Tower, Holy Infant's heart was now as calm as an ancient well. Holy Infant was no longer that weak and helpless novice wizard. Holy Infant was not in a hurry to leave. Instead, he hid in the crowd and watched. If there was a chance, he would not mind beating the dog when it was down and killing Black Moon. The Black Sun descended from the sky. Behind the Harpy Witch, a pair of eagle wings blotted out the sky. At the same time, her lower body grew bird legs and sharp claws like an eagle's. Harpies. I didn't expect this ancient humanoid race to survive until now. Harpies were a very famous tribe in ancient times. They were born with the ability to control hurricanes, and the probability of producing a wind element child in their group was much higher than that of wizards. Then, they began to be hunted by wizards. Female harpies would be imprisoned by some wizards in order to give birth to wind element children. The males were reduced to slaves. As time passed, this race disappeared from the long river of history. The Harpy Witch flapped her wings, and two giant tornadoes soared into the sky, rolling up the Black Sun and tearing it apart. The natives of the small town below were already panicking as they watched the immortals fight. The torn black flames fell like raindrops. When it landed on the plains, it burned like maggots in the bones. When it landed on the house, it exploded. To mortals, this was a true natural disaster and an undeserved disaster one at that. The little girl from before was hiding in a corner in fear. She hugged her head, closed her eyes, and trembled. On the streets, everyone panicked and looked for a place to take refuge. Holy Infant waved his hand, and a screen of flames enveloped the town. The black flames landed on the light screen and dissipated like a clay ox entering the sea. That big brother. Is he also an evil mage? The little girl looked at this scene and was puzzled. If that big brother was an evil mage, why would he save these ordinary people? Her small brain could not understand these questions. In the end, the black flames were neutralized by the Holy Infant's flames. Holy Infant withdrew the light curtain, and the battle above quickly concluded. The Harpy Witch and her group could not win against Black Moon alone and fled in defeat. Black Moon looked down and saw a young male wizard in a red robe looking at him. It seemed that this young male wizard was not afraid at all. Black Moon sneered, "I didn't expect there to be a fifth circle wizard from the burning school of thought here. How does it feel to be a hero? Today, I am in a good mood, so I'll let you off. Next time, you won't be so lucky." In fact, Black Moon felt that this male wizard was not simple. This male wizard's spiritual power was already at the fifth circle realm, and his strength was not weaker than his. Black Moon had consumed a lot of energy just now and was afraid that he could not defeat the other party, so he found an excuse to leave. Black Moon was the strongest genius of the younger generation of the Black Sun steeple. If he could not defeat the other party and was seen by Black Sun Adam outside, Black Moon would definitely be punished when he returned to the wizard world. The red-robed wizard did not get angry after hearing this. He only smiled slightly. Holy Infant didn't say a word. Holy Infant clenched his fist in the air and chanted, "Retract." Black Moon's expression changed. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, the clouds broke apart in the sky. A crimson dragon descended from the sky. In an instant, it wrapped around Black Moon. The huge pressure made Black Moon unable to move in an instant, and his expression changed drastically. "You actually dared to attack me. Since you took the initiative to ask for death, then don't blame me." Black Moon smiled coldly. Black flames surged out and burned the crimson dragon ring. Holy Infant said indifferently, "9 dragons tribulation." An ancient umbrella appeared in his hand, with 9 tassels dancing in the wind. 9 flaming dragons that were emitting endless heat grew in the wind and charged at the trapped Black Moon. Boom! High in the sky, a red mushroom cloud soared into the sky. The shock wave swept across a radius of several miles. The surrounding clouds were instantly evaporated, and the scorching heat hit their faces. The mortals in the small town were terrified. Looking at the scene of the destruction of the world, they were already in despair. Chapter 1308, Holy Grail. The young lady's mind went blank. She covered her eyes and waited for death. However, at the moment of the shocking explosion, the red umbrella flew out and spun, growing larger and larger until it completely enveloped the town. The sky above the town had changed to a red dome. The aftershock of the devastating attack was completely blocked by the ancient umbrella. Holy Infant put away the ancient umbrella and frowned slightly as he looked at the sky where the explosion had occurred. A figure with smoke coming out of his body flew into the void in a sorry state and disappeared. "I'll remember you. Yanan, will definitely kill you in the future." Holy Infant exhaled and thought to himself, as expected, these top-notch geniuses have more treasures than me. He didn't care about Black Moon's threat at all. It was just useless rage. Under the layers of identities, Black Moon wouldn't know Holy Infant's true identity. What does remembering the Holy Infant have to do with me, Levi? Big brother. The little girl appeared beside Holy Infant, her eyes filled with disbelief and fear. "You didn't expect this, did you?" "I'm also an evil mage," Holy Infant laughed. "Big brother, can I learn these from you?" she asked. "You want to become an evil mage too?" Holy Infant asked. "No, I just want to protect myself," said the little girl. Holy Infant thought for a moment and took out a heart of ether to test the little girl. As the red and blue lights lit up, his eyes moved slightly. "Double affinity with fire and water, that talent is not bad. I can bring her back and nurture her." However, the phenomenon was not over yet. In the next moment, a shadow with a crown on its head could be vaguely seen on the heart of ether. It sat high on the shadow throne, and its face could not be seen clearly. "Yes. It's not just double affinity, it's a special talent." Holy Infant was shocked. He actually met a seedling with special talent. Moreover, it should be a rare talent from the Dark faction or the Shadow faction. The School of Darkness belonged to the Dark Energy faction. This was an extremely inclusive school of thought. Basically, anything related to negative energy would be included. Darkness, shadows, poison, blood. The School of Death was also included in it for a period of time. However, after the rise of the School of Death, they established their own school and stood side by side with the Dark Energy faction. The most famous figure of the Dark Energy faction in this era was the Dark Wizard Emperor Asta, and the representative figure of the Dark faction was the Black Sun Atom. After thinking for a while, Holy Infant said, "I can take you with me, but I have to get your parents' permission first." The little girl replied, "My parents died 3 years ago. I was raised by my uncles and aunts in this small town." "Oh right, there's also the Goddess of Youth. She always gives me the water from Spring of Immortality to quench my thirst." "Wait for me for a few days then," said the Holy Infant after a moment of silence. On a whim, he suddenly discovered a new blue sea, which was the natives of this world. Most wizards who entered the ancient tower would fight for resources or fight against each other. They rarely cared about these ant-like mortals. However, there was still a chance for some talented wizards to be born among these mortals. For example, the little girl in front of him. If he could keep them and bring them back to the ancient saint plane to nurture them, then these mortals would become a force to be reckoned with in the future. After being saved by Holy Infant, most of the mortals in the small town still knew how to be grateful. They did not fear or hate him because he was an evil mage. They offered their best food to express their gratitude. Holy Infant rested in the town for a few days and tested the talents of some children. Then, he sadly realized that in the entire town, the only talented person was that little girl, Aya. He let Aya stay in the small town for the time being and went to the ancient banyan fairyland alone. The next day, under a towering ancient banyan tree that was shrouded in clouds and mist, Holy Infant descended. "The last time I saw such a huge tree was the magic tree in the witch's family headquarters." His intuition told him that this ancient banyan tree was not simple. On the branch of the ancient banyan tree, there was a beautiful girl who was playing on the swing. In her arms was a golden holy grail. Obviously, this was what Holy Infant's main body was looking for. It had been found by Holy Infant so easily without any twists and turns, so much so that the Holy Infant felt that it was a little surreal. "Are you also here to ask for the spring water of immortality?" the young girl asked calmly. Holy Infant thought for a moment and said, "No, I want the Holy Grail in your hand. I wonder what is the price I have to pay for that." The spring water of immortality was useless to wizards. It could only improve the physique of mortals. The girl was stunned. Then, she replied, "Another one who wants the Holy Grail. I've said it many times. None of you have any fate with the Holy Grail. Why are you so persistent? Seeing that you're kind, you should leave." Holy Infant's heart skipped a beat. It seemed that the girl in front of him knew that he had saved the mortals in the small town. If that was the case, then this person's methods were a little terrifying. Fortunately, he was only a clone. From Senior's tone, it seems that if we are fated, I can take it away, he asked with a smile. The girl thought with her chin in her hand and replied, theoretically yes. But I'm sure you're not fated to be with the Holy Grail. The girl patted the Holy Grail and asked, do you think he's fated with you? A figure in the Holy Grail impatiently rejected, no chance. The girl shrugged and said, you see? It said so itself. Chapter 1309, Fated for the Holy Grail? Holy Infant pondered. Looks like I have to personally appear before the Holy Grail, then I might get a chance. In addition, the other 3 treasures are with me. It was normal for Holy Grail of Immortality artifact spirit to not recognize him, but it definitely recognized the Tea Time Round Table and the others. Now, the biggest question was, who was this girl? Why aren't you leaving yet? The young girl's voice sounded. I'll leave immediately. After some thought, the Holy Infant temporarily retreated. It was impossible to snatch it by force. If that was possible, it would have been snatched by other organizations long ago. He seems easy to get along with and polite. Unfortunately, he is not the person the Holy Grail is looking for. The girl looked into the distance and muttered to herself. Holy Infant temporarily left the youth grassland. He took Aya and headed west. Year 1209 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, month of flowers. Dragon Palace Island. In a valley. Aya's big eyes curiously sized up this magical world. In the future, cultivate in this valley and don't run around. I'm sure you've seen that the island is filled with terrifying giant beasts that eat children. I will teach you the meditation art and spells of the Shadow School of Thought. You have to become an official wizard as soon as possible. I will arrange for someone to take care of you, said Holy Infant. 2 books appeared in the Holy Infant's hands, Shadow Meditation Art and the complete book of basic spells of the Shadow School of Thought. Shadow Circle was a top-notch wizard organization, and the knowledge they inherited was more than enough for Aya to cultivate. It would not be a waste of her special talent. Okay, big brother. Aya had already learned some basic information. She knew that the so-called evil mages were just a contemptuous term given to wizards by the Kane Empire. After arranging for Aya, Holy Infant arranged for Tyrant 4, who had been eating dust for a long time, to take care of Aya's daily life. After all, she was still too young. Aya looked at her big brother who was leaving. She was born in the chaotic era when the ancient tower was opened, and her parents died tragically. Now, she finally had the chance to learn spells to protect herself. I heard from the goddess of youth that the world we live in is just a bigger cage. If I follow Big Brother, I might be able to see a wider world. In the place where Levi was in seclusion, Levi met Holy Infant. Holy Infant handed over his gains during this period of time, including the silver scale fruit and elemental metals. I'll handle the rest myself. You can go back to the Sea of Stars. Holy Infant turned around and left. If the Holy Infant isn't fated with the Holy Grail, then I should be, right? Levi decided to go there personally. If Levi didn't try, he would never have a chance. Now, Levi could confirm that the girl wasn't a murderous maniac. He could communicate with her, and she had a good personality. If Levi's main body went, nothing would happen. Before he left, Levi swallowed the silver scale fruit. The fruit juice melted in his mouth and a magical warm current entered his sea of consciousness. He could see with his naked eyes that his 7-colored crystal had grown a little bigger in a few days. Spiritual Force, 716/1070. I gained 11 points of spiritual force in one go, saving me 2 years of hard work. In the wizard world, this would be a treasure that 5th circle wizards would fight over. Rust Dragon Wizard is quite generous, and he's a person worth befriending, Levi muttered. He used his spiritual force to cover the island and found Aya in the wooden house in the valley. She was packing her luggage with an expectant expression. Her talent gives me a feeling that it's not ordinary. I wonder what level she can reach in the future. After letting the transcendent creature guard the house, he brought Leon and flew towards the youth grassland. Levi relied on the Scarlet Dark Dimension to travel. A month later, Levi was about to arrive at the youth grassland. Soon, he saw the ancient banyan tree that reached the heavens and the earth, as well as the beautiful girl swinging on the swing. Is there something you need? Asked the young girl. Beautiful goddess, I want to take the Holy Grail away. Levi smiled and went straight to the point. It was a waste of effort to go through all those twists and turns with high-level existences. Levi directly stated his intention. If he could, then he could. If he couldn't, then he couldn't. If it didn't work, it meant that the Holy Grail of immortality was not meant for him and that Sauron had already made arrangements. The young girl was stunned when she heard that. She chuckled and said, "You're quite direct. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you? Although your strength is not bad, you are not my match." Levi smiled and said, "I am afraid. That's why I'm just asking. If it doesn't work, then I'll leave." "Senior, don't be angry." The girl's eyes curved as she smiled. "Ha ha ha, interesting. Deuxis, look, is he the fated one?" The Holy Grail was silent. After a while, it said, "I can't be sure." The girl's expression changed. She asked, "What do you mean by can't be sure?" The Holy Grail coughed and said, "He might be, but he also might not be." The young girl suddenly floated down from the banyan tree and landed on the ground. She was barefooted and her figure was graceful. "Looks like you really might be the fated one. Other than the aura of the dragon clan on your body, there doesn't seem to be anything special." The girl sized up Levi and muttered to herself. "Have you seen Atheros, Earlness, and the others?" The Holy Grail in her arms suddenly asked. Levi nodded and replied, "Yes. And then? And then they took me as their master." Levi waved his hand, and a round table, a great sword, and a magic mirror appeared. The Holy Grail asked with a trembling voice, "Old friends? Is it you guys? Is he the fated one?" The round table coughed and said, "To be honest, I'm not too sure either, but after so many years, other than the dead lizardman, there's no one else more suitable than him. We can't wait forever, right?" Chapter 1310, Mana follows Holy Grail. Magic Mirror said, "Yes, we have followed him for more than 100 years and witnessed him along the way. We are basically sure that he is the fated one. Even if he isn't, we just treat him as one." The Great Sword said, "Come back, old friend. We've found traces of your people in the wizard world. Your immortal banyan dragon race is not completely extinct." Levi and the young girl looked at the four treasures in a daze as they chatted. Levi was speechless. He thought that he was the fated person that Sauron had mentioned, but the ones he assembled said that they were not sure either. Could it be that he was a spare tire? The young girl looked curiously at the ordinary wizard in front of her. What was so special about him? Finally, the girl stroked the Holy Grail in her arms and said, "You decide for yourself. Do you want to stay here or go with him? Remember, if you miss this opportunity, it will be 10,000 years later." The Holy Grail thought for a moment and said, "I'll go with him. Won't you be lonely here?" "No," the girl shook her head and calmly replied. Holy Grail sighed, "You have grown up. You're no longer the little banyan tree from 50,000 years ago." "No, I want to go with him too," the girl said with a smile. The Holy Grail and Levi fell silent. "You're leaving too?" The Holy Grail was puzzled. "Yes, I don't want to stay in this cage either," said the girl. The Holy Grail thought for a moment and said, "You have to think carefully. You are different from ordinary level 6 existences. Your true form is the banyan tree that is rooted in Io. I also want to go to the outside world to see. Didn't you mention that Sauron said that there are infinite possibilities and wonderful things in the multidimensional planes? All right, but you have to ask my future master." The Holy Grail pointed at the wizard. "By the way, what's your name?" asked the Holy Grail. "Levi." The girl came to Levi and begged, "Can you take me away? You took my only friend away. I don't want to stay here alone." Levi coughed and said awkwardly, "Senior, it's not a problem to take you away. The problem is how? Looks like your main body is this huge tree in front of me. I don't have a way to bring you along." After pondering for a moment, the young girl said to the Holy Grail, "Deuxis, if I transfer the ancient banyan fairyland to you, do you have a way to maintain it?" Deuxis's shocked voice came from the Holy Grail, "You're crazy. It wasn't easy for you to open up this world with the world-bearing leaf and advance to level 6. If you transfer this world to me, your cultivation might fall. Moreover, you will forever be bound to me." The girl thought for a moment and said, "If my cultivation falls, then I can slowly recover it. As a tree, what I lack the least is time. As for being bound to you forever, isn't that better? You're immortal banyan dragon, and I'm an ancient banyan tree." The Holy Grail was silent for a moment, then said, "That seems to make sense." "Then can you do it or not?" asked the girl. "Theoretically speaking, there's no problem. After all, I'm a dragon that's circling the world tree." After the Holy Grail finished speaking, it looked at Levi and said, "I'll acknowledge you as my master. However, before that, I need to absorb the ancient Banyan fairyland and transfer my friend away. This may take some time. Moreover, during this period of time, there will be quite a commotion. It might attract some people with ulterior motives. I wonder if you can protect us." "No problem, but if a level 6 existence comes, I can't do anything," said Levi. "I understand. Generally speaking, level 6 beings won't come here. However, you need to pay attention to an elf woman called Rose. She was once a level 6 elven matriarch, and her true form was a Pandora's root on the 4th level. After she came to the 5th level, she had a conflict with us. Fortunately, there was a primordial soul wizard on the 4th floor who killed her and sealed the Pandora's root. However, as time passed, she was resurrected from the Pandora's root. Her current strength is probably at the peak of level 5. She is also on the 5th floor." "I understand," said Levi. The girl walked over and said, "By the way, my name is Mana. I'm Deoxys' best friend. You can also call me Miss Tree." "Mana. What a nice name," Levi muttered. In his impression, this kind of giant tree-type transcendent creature should be an old man like his neighbor in the nightmare world, the King of Thousand Eyes. It was very difficult to associate the image of this young lady with the ancient banyan tree in front of him. "There's no time to lose. Let's begin," said the Holy Grail. The young girl nodded. Her body slowly collapsed and turned into countless specks of light that fused into the giant tree. The giant tree began to shake, emitting a dense green light. "Queen Banyan Mana." At the same time, the immortal banyan dragon on the golden Holy Grail seemed to come alive. Accompanied by a dragon's roar, a pure white giant dragon phantom that was even taller than Queen Banyan and could truly reach the heavens and earth sat on the top of the clouds. On the dragon's back, countless flowers and grass were in full bloom, full of vitality. "This is a true legendary creature," Levi was shocked. He could vaguely see its powerful form when it was alive. Of course, this was just a strange phenomenon. The real Deoxys was already dead. Thousands of vines suddenly appeared on the dragon's body and fell from the sky. These vines were closely connected to the vines and aerial roots on Queen Banyan's body. "Mana, have you thought it through?" the Holy Grail asked for the last time. Chapter 1311, Origin Will. "From the moment I sprouted, I had only one thought in my ignorance: I want to see how high the sky is, how thick the earth is. I have seen enough of the Io continent. I want to see the world in Sauron's eyes." The ancient banyan tree let out a vast sound that was firm and powerful. Billions of leaves were cheering. "Let's begin," the dragon said. In the next moment, the leaves on the trunk of the ancient banyan tree began to dance and surge towards the dragon in the sky, turning into the scales of the dragon. The dragon looked at Levi and said, "Thank you." Levi nodded and sat cross-legged beside the dragon and the giant tree, waiting quietly. Just now, he had established a connection with the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail recognized him as its master, and a stream of information surged into his mind. The Holy Grail told him that Mana wasn't born a mutant. She was just an ordinary ancient banyan tree, a banyan tree that had lived for 50,000 years. The Holy Grail was originally in the ancient Saint Plain, but it was in a slumber. It was unknown what existence in the ancient Saint Plain had brought it to the ancient tower. Somewhere along the lines, he arrived at the 5th level. Here, it was lost in the wilderness, then wrapped in the aerial roots of a newborn banyan tree and hidden. Due to the characteristics of the immortal banyan dragon, the Holy Grail could automatically gather the elemental power of heaven and earth and some beneficial factors, giving birth to the so-called spring water of immortality. Under the nourishment of the spring water of immortality, the ancient banyan tree underwent some kind of mutation. It became thicker and taller and had already exceeded the scope of ordinary trees. Not only that, but its spirituality became more and more intense until one day, it gave birth to an extremely rare plant-like humanoid consciousness. It called itself Mana, which meant sunshine in the language of the natives in this area. 40,000 years ago, there were two level 6 in the sky who fought over a leaf. In the end, they died together, and the leaf fell on the ancient banyan tree. Holy Grail had seen this leaf before as the immortal banyan dragon. It was the legendary world-changing leaf. In the myths of countless civilizations, there were divine trees similar to the world tree, such as the mother tree of the Pandora civilization. This was the case for the world-changing leaf, which came from the source of the divine trees in the myths of all civilizations. The Tree of Origin. It was also called the origin will by the divine trees. Even the immortal Banyan dragon had only heard of such a divine tree in its bloodline memories. Every immortal Banyan dragon desired to live on the Tree of Origin. After accidentally absorbing the world-changing leaf, Mana was no longer an ordinary plant with a humanoid consciousness. It had the potential to become a divine tree. After a long period of time, space began to grow in its body. This space grew larger and larger until it formed the ancient Banyan fairyland that mortals spoke of. Rose, on the other hand, had always thought that Mana's uniqueness came from the Holy Grail, which was why she always came to find trouble with Mana. A few years ago, she came again, but the kind Mana let her go. However, the Holy Grail knew that this woman must still be paying attention to the situation here secretly. Rose was too persistent. After understanding all this, Levi couldn't help but sigh, I'm just here to take away Holy Grail of immortality. Why do I feel like I'm getting an even more awesome existence? The origin will sounds very powerful. However, Mana's body actually had its own space, which was comparable to a medium secret realm. If I were to transfer it to the Holy Grail, it would be equivalent to me mastering a low-level legendary wizard demi-plane in advance. My mobile botanical garden project has finally seen the light of day. After thinking for a while, Levi sent a message to Holy Infant, asking him to hurry over and hide. As for himself, he burrowed into the ground and created a shelter. After setting up an array, he protected the area and did not forget to cultivate his breathing techniques. South of Io. Storm City. Hurricane Sky Island residence. The Sky Dragon Wizard looked at the projection that was transmitted back. This is Queen Banyan. What was wrong with it? Could it be that some strange object or treasure is about to appear? Thinking of this, he led his men and set off. Regardless of whether it was true or not, he had to go and take a look. Otherwise, he might miss out on a huge opportunity. At the same time, the dazzling figures on the ancient tower rankings of the Gale Steeple and the Storm Divine Tower also cast their gazes at the youth grassland. Such a shocking phenomenon was very likely the appearance of a strange object. In the southern wilderness, in a dark valley, Black Moon, who was recuperating, looked at the message from his subordinate. Some time ago, he went to the youth grassland to investigate the holy fountain of youth. In the end, he was scared away by the big banyan tree, and then he was attacked by the harpy witch. The worst thing was that he was almost killed by a passerby fifth circle wizard that day. Thinking of this, he still had lingering fears. That Holy Grail must be some kind of treasure. Previously, it was guarded by that woman, and I couldn't do anything about it. Now that the opportunity has come, I, Yanan, will definitely take this opportunity. Not only the wizards but also some of the foreign races wandering on the grasslands began to fly towards the strange phenomenon. In the wilderness, a tall, slender, and wheat-skinned woman with elven ears looked at the dragon phantom in the distance. It was Rose, who had disappeared for a long time. Her aura was as deep as the ocean. Those so-called geniuses were not worth mentioning in front of her. I knew it. This Holy Grail is an unimaginable treasure. With it, I can return to level 6, or even pursue a higher level. She laughed loudly and turned into a stream of light that shot into the sky. Central Io. Chaos City. Supreme God Tower. On the wall, the stone statue of the Supreme Archmage opened its eyes. Men. Not long after, an Archmage with a solemn expression and a deep aura arrived. Countless thunderbolts around him vanished, making him look extraordinary, like a god of thunder descending to the world. Lord Archmage, what are your orders? Where's Lightning Supreme Mage? Asked the Archmage. Teacher is currently leading a team to the Holy Fire Plateau to besiege the evil mage's stronghold. The Archmage was silent for a moment and said, Myriad Thunder, you will lead a group of Archmages to the youth grassland. There will be a grand performance coming soon. Wait for the right time and kill all the evil mages and demons in one fell swoop to retrieve the Holy Grail treasure. Myriad Thunder received the order and immediately mobilized a group of elite Archmages in the capital, flying towards the south of Io. Youth grassland. The ancient banyan tree reached the sky, and the white dragon soared. Wind and clouds were surging, and rain was coming. Chapter 1312, Everyone going to Youth Grassland. Dark Ancient Tower. 5th level. Youth Grassland. In the underground shelter, Levi came out of his cultivation state, and his danger perception was constantly on alert. He knew that the phenomenon here had already attracted the powerhouses wandering nearby. However, from the looks of it, his danger perception wasn't too strong. There shouldn't be any level 6 existences. High in the sky, Levi could see that the dragon in the sky had already absorbed a large portion of Mana's leaves. As the owner of the Holy Grail, he could feel that a small world was slowly expanding in the Holy Grail. When this world completely solidified, it would be the day when the ancient Banyan fairyland in Mana's body would disappear. At that time, the ancient Banyan fairyland would become the space of the Holy Grail. Mana would also be in this space and be reborn. However, it was unknown whether Mana could maintain his strength at level 6. Wizards with freedom desired 6th circle, but the level 6 tree desired freedom. Levi's figure changed. Black scales covered his body, and the arrogant dragon abomination stood on the ground. The first to arrive was a 4th circle nomadic wizard. The nomadic wizard looked at the shocking scene in front of him from afar and saw the burly dragon abomination standing in front of the big tree. Dragon abomination said indifferently, "Get lost." The nomadic wizard looked at dragon abomination, who was rubbing his fists, his expression uncertain. "If that dragon abomination wants me to get lost, then I'll get lost. I didn't expect that there was already a level 5 dragon abomination who had gotten there first. It seems that there are indeed treasures here. Unfortunately, I'm not fated to find them. My life is more important." The nomadic wizard sighed in his heart and quickly turned around to leave, disappearing into the horizon. The nomadic wizard was very tactful and avoided a bloody disaster. "How much longer will it take?" asked Levi. "At least another month. Can you hold on?" Mana asked. "Let me try. These people aren't all without weaknesses. I have a plan that requires the two of you to cooperate with me," said Levi. Mana replied, "Tell me about it." Time passed. More and more people came here, but there were no level 5 existences for the time being. After these people saw Dragon Abomination's figure, their expressions froze. Dragon Abomination did not conceal his powerful level 5 aura at all. Seeing that Dragon Abomination did not seem to have the intention of taking the initiative to attack, they did not leave either. Instead, they found a remote place and gathered in groups of 3 to 5, waiting quietly. It seemed like the treasure had yet to fully appear. It would be unwise to attack now. Seeing this, Levi did not make a move. Instead, he sat alone at the side, and no one dared to approach him. Ever since the ancient tower was opened, no one had ever taken away the Holy Grail. These people definitely wouldn't have thought that the Holy Grail had already recognized him as its master. As long as the transformation was completed, he could immediately escape with the Holy Grail. The current plan was to stall for as long as possible. No matter how strong he was, it was impossible for him to be enemies with so many people. Several days later, a familiar figure descended. It was the Harpy Witch. When she saw Dragon Abomination, she immediately said, "Leave. The treasures here are not something you can touch." "Why can't I?" Levi asked with a frown. Harpy Witch replied, "Only wizards can make full use of the treasures of heaven and earth. You barbaric races are wasting the treasures of heaven and earth." Levi smiled and said, "It's my own business to waste it. The treasure hasn't appeared yet, so I'm too lazy to waste my energy. I advise you to be sensible and leave obediently. Otherwise, I'll tear you apart." Harpy Witch's expression turned cold. She was about to attack when she heard a crisp female voice coming from the ancient banyan tree. "I am Queen Banyan, the guardian of Youth Grassland, and also the master of this Holy Grail. I want to use the Holy Grail as a furnace and the Holy Fountain of Youth as a raw material to collect elemental power and refine the Holy Immortality Water. Now that the refinement is at a critical moment, if you want to fight, you have to at least wait for me to finish refining the holy water. If you spoil my plans, even if I can't leave this grassland, I'll think of a way to capture you and punish you. If you are willing to protect me, I can give you some holy immortality water when the refinement is completed." After she finished speaking, Queen Banyan emitted a level 6 prestige that shocked everyone present. In fact, she was just bluffing, but no one dared to probe the strength of a level 6 existence. Fresh and sweet spring water gurgled out of the Holy Grail. A whiff of it would make one feel relaxed and happy. Harpy Witch gulped and whispered, "Didn't you say that the spring water of immortality is only useful for mortals?" Queen Banyan laughed and said, "I'm refining the holy immortality water, not the spring water of immortality. I have cultivated for tens of thousands of years and collected countless treasures just for today. After Harpy Witch heard that, she thought, Queen Banyan is a well-known and kind existence in the youth grassland. She never kills or lies. Moreover, she was still a level 6 existence. There was no need for her to use such a low-level trick. This matter is most likely true. That dragon abomination probably obtained Queen Banyan's promise, which is why he didn't massacre wantonly and waited quietly. Thinking up to here, she remained silent and led the team to the side far away from dragon abomination and set up camp. Seeing this, Levi closed his eyes and rested. Not long after the Harpy Witch arrived, a handsome wizard with a long horn on his forehead and a white robe led a team to the place. Upon seeing this person, Levi muttered to himself, "The Sky Dragon Wizard is here." That's right, the eastern part of Io is the Storm faction's territory. They are the ones who can easily discover the movements here. Chapter 1313, More Powerhouses Join. Sky Dragon Wizard looked at the Holy Grail in the air. It seems like these strange phenomena are caused by this Holy Grail. He was just about to grab the Holy Grail from the sky. Suddenly, a thick wall of wind formed and blocked him. Sky Dragon Wizard looked at the Harpy Witch and asked coldly, "What's the meaning of this?" Harpy Witch said to Sky Dragon Wizard, "It's not time to take the treasure yet. Can't you see that Dragon Abomination hasn't made a move as well?" She repeated Queen Banyan's words to Sky Dragon Wizard. Sky Dragon Wizard thought for a moment and also led a team to camp beside the Harpy Witch. It seemed that they had secretly reached some kind of cooperation. Accompanied by the sound of wind chimes, a blue-clothed witch with an otherworldly temperament, dressed in a light veil, floated down. "Sky Dragon Wizard, Harpy Witch, both of you are here. Now that the three families of Storm City are here, the next operation will be easy." The witch smiled sweetly and flirtatiously, causing all the nomadic wizards present to take a second look. She was the Wind Witch, a top-notch genius of the Gale Steeple, ranked 45th on the Ancient Tower rankings. After seeing Dragon Abomination over there, she smiled and said, "As Dragon Abomination, you actually dare to stay here. Your race is really as arrogant as ever." Dragon Abomination smiled with a crooked mouth and asked, "You're dissatisfied with that?" The Wind Witch's expression turned cold. Killing intent rose in her heart, but she did not act rashly. That was because Sky Dragon Wizard had already told her about the situation here. Murderous intent was hidden in her heart. "When this matter is over, it will be your death." After a period of trapping and killing dragon abominations, seeing a dragon abomination was already very rare. The Wind Witch herself had killed 2 level 5 dragon abominations, which was why she was so confident. Levi closed his eyes. Out of sight, out of mind. Next, accompanied by the wild laughter in the sky, a strong expert from the Amethyst race appeared. He exuded a powerful aura, much stronger than the one the Holy Infant had killed some time ago. Gal, an expert from the Amethyst race. Oh my, so many wizards have come. As a powerhouse comparable to a perfected 5th circle wizard, Gal came alone, but he did not panic at all. The geniuses from the top organizations looked at each other and were all on guard, but they did not take any further action. If he attacked now, it would be a waste of energy and he might even benefit others. Gal looked at the Holy Grail in the sky and smiled. "Although I don't know what this is, I think it's not wrong to take it away." His body burst out and turned into a purple light. His purple hand grabbed at the Holy Grail. "Stop!" Before Levi could make a move, Sky Dragon Wizard, Harpy Witch and the Wind Witch had already blocked Gal's path. Boom! The 3 innate spells of the Storm School of Thought were cast at the same time, forcing Gal to retreat. Gal's face turned icy, and his aura began to soar. He smiled sinisterly and said, "You dare to stop me?" Right at this moment, Queen Banyan's gentle voice rang out, "Thank you for your help. After I finish refining the holy immortality water, you will all receive a portion." Gal felt the astonishing aura of a level 6. He thought for a moment and stopped for the time being. "I'll let you be smug for a while," Gal sneered in his heart and found a remote place to wait alone. Some time ago, the Amethyst race had found a place rich in minerals in the 100,000 mountains. Now, they were devouring rare minerals to increase their strength. It wouldn't be long before more level 5 Amethyst race members were born. At that time, it would be easy to flatten these wizard organizations. In the following days, the strange phenomenon in the sky continued, and the fragrance from the Holy Grail drifted into the distance. More and more people arrived, including an expert of the Tomb clan who was wearing bronze armor and holding a halberd. He was like a terracotta soldier dug out from an ancient tomb. He stood there silently. Seeing that everyone was waiting with tacit understanding, he did not make a move. Everyone stared at the Holy Grail. The number of leaves on the ancient banyan tree decreased. Correspondingly, Levi could sense that the space within the Holy Grail was getting bigger and bigger. The next day, a handsome male wizard wearing a red robe rushed over. It was Holy Infant. As soon as Holy Infant appeared, he could feel a cold gaze staring at him. He looked over and saw a black-robed wizard with a crescent mark on his forehead sitting on a huge rock in the corner. He was surrounded by a group of wizards from the Black Sun Steeple. "I didn't expect that you would still dare to appear in front of me," said Black Moon. "This isn't your home. I can come whenever I want," Holy Infant smiled and retorted. "Last time, you ambushed me first. This time, I will let you know the price of offending the Black Sun Steeple," Black Moon threatened. Seeing that Black Moon did not make a move, Holy Infant found a place and sat down. Levi thought to himself, "Holy Infant is here. The next move will be more secure." Not long after Holy Infant arrived, a sudden change occurred. Suddenly, a pitch-black vine in the distance grew longer and longer. It passed through countless experts and extended toward the Holy Grail in the void. "Mana, looks like you've encountered some trouble. Ha 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 ha, this Holy Grail is mine." Rose's sharp voice rang out. Vine surged and danced wildly all over her body like a demon god. Just as the vine was about to touch the Holy Grail, a pitch-black dragon claw reached out from the void and collided with the vine. Boom! The black flames burned along the vines, and the dragon claw was also repelled by the huge force. Levi made his move. Rose's attack failed, and she looked at Levi coldly. "You dare to stop me? Who do you think you are? How dare you snatch my holy immortality water?" Chapter 1314, Escape. Dragon Abomination said that disdainfully, his aura filled with arrogance. "What holy immortality water?" Rose asked with a frown. She looked at the wizards and foreign races sitting around her and understood. She suddenly shouted, "Mana, you bitch! You really do have a treasure. Hand over the holy immortality water and the Holy Grail. Don't force me to make a move. You shouldn't have time to spare right now. Don't think that you can stop me with just a bunch of motley crew." In an instant, the atmosphere became tense. Everyone could feel that the new elf woman had the strongest aura among everyone present. Even the amethyst race member at the peak of level 5 was probably inferior to Rose. "Everyone, this person is my mortal enemy. She wants to disrupt my refinement. Kill her quickly," said Queen Banyan. Rose sneered, "Who dares to kill me? Who can kill me?" Just as the crowd fell silent, Holy Infant blended into the crowd, pointed at Rose, and said righteously, "Everyone, this elf is infinitely close to level 6. If we don't kill her first, we will be defeated one by her. The elven civilization is just a defeated opponent of our wizard civilization. Let's join forces and defeat the powerful enemy first. Long live the wizards! Long live Sauron!" In an instant, Holy Infant's words seemed to have lit a fuse. Hundreds of 4th Circle wizards and more than 10 5th Circle wizards were all moved. That's right, Rose was just a peak level 5 elven mistress. There were so many 5th Circle wizards here, what was there to be afraid of? That makes sense. Rose, right? The last time I was at the 4th Circle realm, I was ambushed by you. Now that I am at the 5th Circle realm, let's exchange some blows, mistress of bygone days. A handsome silver-haired male wizard in a white robe stood out. It was the Sky Dragon Wizard. He, let me try too. How does the legendary mistress feel?" A 5th Circle veteran wizard with a perverted expression stood out. Even Black Moon had surrounded Rose. Black flames coiled around his fingertips, ready to strike. All of a sudden, all the wizards turned their attention to Rose. Rose laughed in anger and said, "I was originally feeling too lazy to fight with you guys. Since that's the case, I'll turn all of you into my fertilizer." Tens of thousands of vines split out from her body, and the sound of air being torn apart was loud. The long whip formed by the vines killed in all directions. "Everyone, attack!" The Sky Dragon Wizard waved his robe, and a series of wind blades flew toward Rose. There were hundreds of wizards present, and the weakest of them was a 4th Circle senior wizard. At this moment, they all attacked together, creating a huge commotion. Rose's strength alone quickly fell into a disadvantage. Especially the Sky Dragon Wizard and his pet, the Thunderstorm Wolf Dragon. One man and one beast, they worked well together. The wind thunder power burst forth, shattering countless vines, causing Rose to complain endlessly. This made Levi feel lucky that he did not choose to fight against the enemy alone. Rose's face was ashen. She used the vines to choose a weak point to attack. Some of the weaker fourth circle wizards had their force fields shattered on the spot, turning into dried corpses. Mistress Rose's rapidly depleting stamina had finally recovered a little. Quick, she can absorb the blood to become stronger. Everyone, don't hold back. She's dying. A wizard shouted. Everyone's attacks became fiercer and fiercer. Rose glared at Queen Banyan with resentment. With a sharp cry, she broke through the blockade and left quickly. With her ability, no one could stop her if she wanted to escape. Thank you for your help, everyone. I am extremely grateful. The holy immortality water will be ready soon. Please wait patiently, said Queen Banyan. After Rose left, the situation returned to a delicate balance. Some of them wanted to cause trouble, but they were also killed by the level 5 experts on the scene in minutes. As for experts of other races like Gal and Levi, if they didn't take the initiative to cause trouble, no one would take the initiative to start a dispute. Just like that, more than 10 days passed quickly. On this day, the phenomenon of the giant dragon and the giant tree in the sky began to change. At this moment, the ancient banyan tree had already become bare. All the leaves had become the dragon scales of the giant dragon phantom. At the same time, Levi discovered that a small world had been completely formed inside the Holy Grail. Blue sky, white clouds, forests, mountains, oceans. The space in Alice's ring was nothing compared to this small world. This was the ancient banyan fairyland. It could be said that this was the embryonic form of a plane with its own system, and not any secret realm or living space attached to the main material plane. This was exactly what Levi dreamed of. Levi, are you ready? The voice of the Holy Grail rang in Levi's mind. I'm ready. Levi took a deep breath and looked at the expectant gazes around him. He thought to himself, thank you for guarding the Holy Grail for me. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely repay you. Run, said the Holy Grail. Boom. In an instant, the giant dragon's shadow suddenly collapsed and turned into white light spots that filled the sky. At the same time, the ground within a radius of hundreds of miles cracked open, and smoke and dust covered the sky and earth. The wizards were like birds, startled by the fissures of the earth and flew into the sky. Many cautious people turned around and ran. Queen Banyan's massive body and tens of thousands of roots all appeared and floated up. A huge crack appeared in the void. In an instant, Queen Banyan was sucked into it and disappeared. The rain fell from the sky, and the fragrance was refreshing. A wizard licked it and said, "This is the holy fountain of youth, not the holy immortality water. Damn it, we've been deceived." Along with the rain, there were also streams of light. Chapter 1315, Fighting Black Moon. There were wizard tools, medicinal herbs, and potions among them. It was a dazzling sight. Mana's weak voice echoed in the sky, "Everyone, this is your reward for protecting me." "I'm sorry. I lied." This was the first time Mana had lied in 50,000 years. For the sake of freedom, she could only do this. In the sky, the Holy Grail turned into a ray of light and entered Levi's body. Levi's hermit rune flickered as he prepared to escape. A spell exploded in the sky, forcing him out. "Leave behind the treasures," Sky Dragon Wizard said coldly. Levi took a deep breath and clenched his fists. His bones and muscles rang out, and black flames wrapped around his body like a demon god. "From now on, anyone who blocks me will die." As soon as he finished speaking, under the sky, on the top of the clouds, 6 dragons with different expressions and exuding powerful majesty looked down at the living beings below. They were like gods, their golden eyes cold and heartless. This was an illusion created by Levi's powerful dragon's might. Not only could it be used to subdue dragons, but it could also intimidate enemies. In an instant, the group of 4th Circle wizards was suffocated by the dragon's might. Their faces were filled with horror. What a terrifying dragon's might! Just what kind of existence is this dragon abomination? I've seen an immature pure-blooded dragon before. Its dragon's might was far inferior to this dragon abomination. Wizards were like this, let alone ordinary dragons from dragon clans. The thunderstorm wolf dragon tucked its tail between its legs and lay at the feet of Sky Dragon Wizard, trembling. If not for its master's presence, it might have directly defected to the enemy at light speed. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Levi unleashed his 6 great Dharma idols to protect his entire body. Then, he withstood a bunch of spell attacks and escaped into the Scarlet Dark Dimension. Things have reached a point of no return, and the only choice left was to run away. From the disappearance of Queen Banyan to the fall of wizard tools and herbs from the sky, to the appearance of the 6 dragons in the sky, and finally, Dragon Abomination escaping. All of this was done in one go. As a result, many people who were still looking forward to the holy immortality water were dumbfounded. Did Queen Banyan refine the holy water and go back on her word? Damn it, we've been fooled. We've been deceived by Queen Banyan and that Dragon Abomination. This 4th circle wizard tool is fated with me. Who dares to snatch it from me? This level 5 red lantern grass is mine. For a moment, the scene was in chaos. There were those who snatched the wizard tool and herbs, and there were also those who coveted the Holy Grail treasures on Dragon Abomination's body and were prepared to make a move. They waited for a month and ended up letting that Dragon Abomination gain everything. Harpy Witch's face turned red. An indescribable sense of shame emerged. She said hatefully, "Damn Dragon Abomination! How dare you threaten us?" This fellow had been acting with Queen Banyan from the very beginning. Before Harpy Witch arrived, he had already made some kind of unspeakable deal with Queen Banyan, a level 6 existence. She really couldn't understand why Queen Banyan, a dignified level 6 existence and the goddess of youth in the mouths of countless mortals, would run away with an incomparably ugly Dragon Abomination. What was he planning? Sky Dragon Wizard turned into a storm and chased after Dragon Abomination. After the people present came to their senses, more than a dozen streams of light flew toward the direction where Dragon Abomination disappeared. This included the Amethyst race and Tomb Clan's level 5 experts. Holy Infant was also mixed in with the chasing crowd, waiting for an opportunity to make a move. Black Moon's cold eyes looked into the distance. His pupils emitted some kind of golden light. One could vaguely see Dragon Abomination flying in a strange dimension 100 miles away. "You can't run." A black disc appeared under his feet. As soon as the round plate appeared, it brought him away at a speed that far exceeded that of ordinary people. On the other side, in the Scarlet Dark Dimension, Levi looked behind him, slightly surprised. Behind Levi, there were 5 streams of light. Each displaying their abilities, they actually caught up to Levi. One of them was Black Moon. There was also the Wind Witch, Sky Dragon Wizard, and the Tomb Clan expert with the halberd. After flying for a while, Levi realized that these people were still following him closely. "You guys forced me to do this." Among these people, there was someone who had the means to see through Levi in the Scarlet Dark Dimension and lock onto Levi's position. If Levi didn't get rid of these people, he wouldn't be able to return to Dragon Palace Island. With that thought, the power of the Golden Snake surged and covered his entire body. "Kill Black Moon first." He seems to have cultivated some kind of eye bloodline technique. In the blink of an eye, Levi had already put on the brilliant golden dragon armor. However, in order to hide it, the dragon armor was now like black demonic armor. "Don't run anymore, Dragon Abomination, I know you're there." Black Moon sneered. The disc beneath him was moving at an extremely fast speed and was far ahead. Even Sky Dragon Wizard and the others were left behind. In the next moment, Black Moon's expression changed. Dragon Abomination stepped out of the void and stood in mid-air. He held a long sword in his hand and wore black flesh armor. A majestic golden divine palace descended from the sky and pressed down on Black Moon. Black Sun Transformation. Black Moon lifted the sky with one hand, and his robe fluttered in the wind. A black sun soared through the sky and flew toward the divine palace. Before the two of them could collide, an earth-shattering sword light cut the sun in half. Endless black flames splattered out and exploded in all directions. Poisonous smoke filled the air. The golden divine palace finally descended and suppressed Black Moon. At this moment, it was as if a big mountain was pressing down on Black Moon, and he was instantly unable to move. A strong sense of danger surged into his heart, and his eyes were filled with horror and fear. In his line of sight, an unstoppable golden light that could destroy everything shot over. Whoosh! This time, Black Moon was not as lucky as last time. Chapter 1316, Dragon Battle in the Wild. The golden light tore apart Black Moon's protective force field, defensive spell, and wizard tool. Black Moon's head was blown off. Then, the golden light pierced through the clouds and pierced a hole in the sky before disappearing without a trace. Black Moon's aura instantly dissipated. The headless corpse fell and was casually put away by dragon abomination. In just a few breaths, a top-notch genius was instantly killed. At this moment, the expressions of the Wind Witch, Sky Dragon Wizard, and the Tomb Clan expert changed drastically. Under the golden light, they also felt the threat of death. I told you, those who stop me will die. Dragon Abomination grinned hideously, his temperament crazy. The Tomb Clan expert hesitated for a moment before leaving. The black-robed human wizard was not weaker than him, but the wizard was killed in one hit. If he stayed here, he would be doomed. Hand over the Holy Grail. Sky Dragon Wizard's expression was grave. Fine pure white scales appeared on his forehead, and countless clouds and mountain winds gathered above him. First talent, Scissor Mist Claw. In the clouds, a dragon claw that was 1,000 feet long formed by air currents reached out and grabbed at Levi with terrifying power. Wind chimes appeared in the hands of the Wind Witch. The wind chimes danced, and hundreds of tornadoes emerged from them, forming a sea of wind that surrounded Levi. Levi was fighting two enemies at once, and the brilliant golden dragon armor took the Scissor Mist Claw head-on. A terrifying explosion swept out, tearing the armor apart. Levi had to admit that the strength of a top genius like the Sky Dragon Wizard was not something that an ordinary 5th Circle senior wizard could compare to. Levi, are you okay? The voice of the Holy Grail rang in his mind. I'm all right. The dragon armor shattered, turning into light and dissipating, revealing Dragon Abomination's figure within. Quick, the Dragon Abomination's secret technique time limit is up. It should be in its weakened state now, the Wind Witch urged. Sky Dragon Wizard whistled, and thunder flashed in the clouds. An awe-inspiring thunder giant wolf roared. Countless thunderbolts burst forth, enveloping Dragon Abomination. Furious Dragon Lord. Giant Dragon Warrior. Nightmare Descent. Under the pitch-black night sky, his body began to expand, and a dragon horn appeared on his forehead. Black flames soared into the sky. After the smoke, a three-headed dragon god that was 20 stories tall appeared. 6 divine weapons and 6 dharma idols were all born. The dragon god stood tall in the sea of wind, its 6 arms holding a black flame sword as it slashed down. After the heaven-splitting slash, the sea of wind that bound Levi was completely torn apart. My hurricane domain is something that even a 5th Circle senior wizard can't break through. This Dragon Abomination is probably already at the peak of level 5. The Wind Witch was shocked. On the other side, the thunderstorm wolf dragon's purple lightning covered the dragon god's body. The dragon god didn't care at all. The feather dragon phantom behind him continuously converted the power of thunder into its endless power. The dragon god was not even afraid of the combined attack of 2 genius wizards from the lightning school of thought. Although the thunderstorm wolf dragon was powerful, it could only be reduced to Levi's power bank. Wind Witch looked at the dragon god who was getting braver and braver, and finally realized that something was wrong. Tell your wolves to stop attacking. Sky Dragon Wizard naturally noticed something was amiss, but it was too late. The dragon god's hand grabbed the thunderstorm wolf dragon's tail and punched it in the head, knocking it to the ground. The wolf dragon's head almost split open. It whimpered in pain and fell to the ground. Blood flowed out of its 7 orifices. This punch would not take the sub-dragon's life. It would only make it stop for a while. Ignoring the fallen wolf dragon, the 3,000 feather blades behind the dragon god shot toward the Sky Dragon Wizard. Sky Dragon Wizard's expression changed drastically. The most difficult battle he had ever fought was against the Fire Dragon Destroyer. In the end, with the help of the Thunderstorm Wolf Dragon and his teammates, he won. However, he discovered that compared to this terrifying dragon abomination in front of him, Simon seemed to be average. This was not an ordinary dragon abomination, but a top-notch genius among dragon abominations. The dragon abomination's invincible body was enough to fight against the amethyst race. The dragon abomination's innate abilities and secret techniques were also endless. Even though Sky Dragon Wizard had many methods and trump cards, he did not have the slightest confidence that he could kill this dragon abomination. After calmly analyzing the pros and cons, Sky Dragon Wizard made a decision. He closed his eyes and put his palms together. The 7th talent, Sky Stops from Mist. In the next moment, other than Sky Dragon Wizard, everything else seemed to have been paused. This was the 7th innate spell that the Sky Dragon Wizard had comprehended after advancing to the 5th Circle realm. It was also his most powerful spell to date. This wasn't time freeze, but rather, it relied on the absolute control of the airflow in this space to seal all targets except him. However, this kind of immobilizing effect was extremely short-lived. The stronger the opponent was, the weaker the effect. He didn't dare to hesitate. He didn't even care about the thunderstorm wolf dragon on the ground. Instead, he used his top-grade wizard tool to travel through the void and escape. Obviously, Sky Dragon Wizard had a life-saving wizard tool similar to the extreme fire wheel. A moment later, the black flames that engulfed the world exploded, and the void seal was broken. The dragon god regained its mobility. Soon after, the Wind Witch resumed her movements. She did not have time to curse Sky Dragon Wizard for abandoning her and escaping. That was because the dragon god's longsword was already slashing down. Ding, ding, ding. Wind chimes surrounded it, forming an invisible protective force field. The wind chime was a top-grade wizard tool that could be used for both offense and defense. Although the dragon god's attack was fierce, it couldn't take down the opponent for the time being. Wind Witch no longer had any fighting spirit at this time. She was alone, and it was impossible for her to be a match for Dragon Abomination. Chapter 1317, Battle of the Holy Grail. She used wind chimes to defend herself and continued to flee. Dragon Abomination chased closely behind, and streams of sword chi swept over. Weren't you very arrogant before? Why do you only know how to run away? Levi sneered. You won't be able to be happy for long. Most of the Dragon Abomination on the Io continent have been eliminated by us. One day, you will die in my hands. Wind Witch was still stubborn. While the two of them were engaged in a chase, a red-robed figure hurried over. How dare you, Dragon Abomination! Hand over the treasure and I'll spare your life. The red-robed male wizard said sternly. He was handsome and extraordinary. He was Holy Infant. Where did this sissy come from? How dare you sneak attack me? Levi cursed at Holy Infant. Seeing this, the Wind Witch sent a voice transmission to the Holy Infant, my fellow friend from the burning school of thought, let's join forces to kill this monster and divide his treasures equally. What do you think? The red-robed male wizard said, that's exactly what I'm thinking. I'll use my wizard tool to launch a sneak attack later and control him. My lady, please kill him quickly. My wizard tool can only last for 3 breaths. The red-robed wizard clenched his fist in the air. A fiery red ring descended from the sky, binding Dragon Abomination within. Damn it, despicable wizard, sneaking an attack. Levi cursed. Seeing this, the Wind Witch was overjoyed. She chanted an incantation, and the wind chimes around her flew into the sky like stars as if they were going to set up some kind of array. 3 seconds was enough for her to use a powerful trump card that could instantly kill a 5th circle senior wizard. She believed that under this attack, even if that Dragon Abomination did not die, he would also be heavily injured. However, a sudden change occurred. Accompanied by Dragon Abomination's furious roar, it only persisted for less than a breath before that ring suddenly collapsed, turning into light spots that filled the sky. Behind the dragon god, the 3,000 feather blades turned into a storm and tore through the world, heading toward the Wind Witch. Her strongest defense was that set of top-grade wind wizard tool. Now that the wind chimes were used for attack, her defense was only left with ordinary protective force fields and wizard tool. Seizing this opportunity, Levi launched an attack. Crimson Dragon Sword Chi opened the way. 3 dragons flaming kill exploded. 3,000 feather blades harvest. The Wind Witch's force field and wizard tool were shattered, and her graceful body was cut into pieces. Her frightened face froze, and the red-robed wizard's exclamation could be heard from behind her. This is bad. My lady, please run quickly. This Dragon Abomination is too powerful. My estimation was wrong. I could only control it for 1 breath. The Wind Witch closed her eyes unwillingly and died. After dealing with the 2 top-notch geniuses, Dragon Abomination panted heavily. He looked at the Holy Infant with a cold smile and said, now it's your turn. Die, sissy. Holy Infant's expression changed drastically, and he immediately used half of his spell power, sending 9 fire dragons toward Levi. Levi pretended that he did not dare to resist and left the place. After the soaring flames, the Holy Infant had already used the extreme fire wheel to escape. Don't let me find you. Levi said as he quickly cleaned up the battlefield. He had the dragon god carry the thunderstorm wolf dragon, whose head was still buzzing, and throw it into the holy grail of immortality. Mana used the branches to tie him up. All of a sudden, the danger perception rang in Levi's mind. Leave the treasures behind. A streak of purple light as fast as a shooting star struck. It was Gal, an amethyst race member at the peak of level 5. Levi's expression changed slightly. With his current strength, it would not be a problem for him to deal with those top-notch geniuses. However, facing a peak level 5 Amethyst race member was no less dangerous than facing Rose alone. Moreover, Levi had just experienced a great battle and had consumed a lot of energy. If Levi was entangled with the Amethyst race member, it would be difficult for him to escape, and then even more people would arrive and surround him. Just as Levi was about to carry out the next step of his plan, an even stronger sense of danger than before appeared. In the sky, 8 purple divine talismans descended from the sky and enveloped the surroundings. There was no way to dodge. Thunder Hive Stone Divine Talisman, and there's even 8 of this talisman. The Empire's mages are here too. Rumble. Terrifying thunder exploded, and the area within a radius of several miles became an ocean of thunder. In the Sea of Thunder, the Golden Snake Divine Palace descended once again to protect the Dragon God, and the Dragon God protected Levi within it. The Golden Dragon Heavenly Shield, 3,000 feather blades, Scarlet Cloak, and the 6 Dharma idols appeared. The Dragon God's body was in tatters, and some of the divine weapons were severely damaged. It roared at the sky and used its last sword to tear open the Scarlet Dark Dimension and disappear. On the other side, Gal's body glowed purple. Sacred skill, splitting the sky. He pushed out with both hands, and a purple pillar of light tore through the Sea of Thunder, revealing a huge lava pit melted by lightning and a half-melted purple crystal body. Golem, die! In the sky, a huge airship tore through the void and descended in shock. Myriad Thunder Archmage held a golden thunder staff in his right hand and a purple thunder drum in his left. He was like a thunder god standing at the bow of the ship. Gal's face was filled with madness and murderous intent. He said, "You actually let the dragon abomination escape. You should be the one to die, old thing." Myriad Thunder ordered, "Everyone, split into 2 groups. One group will surround the youth grassland and capture all the evil mages and demons in one fell swoop. The other group will use the airship to chase after the dragon demon and take back the Holy Grail. I'll deal with this golem myself." In the next moment, the 2 peak level 5 experts fought. Lightning and purple light collided in the sky. Outside the ancient tower, realm of divine wind. In the Gale Tower, the wizard was silent. Just now, the top genius of their organization that they had high hopes for, an existence who had dominated the ancient tower for more than 40 years and made outstanding contributions, Wind Witch. She had actually died at the hands of a dragon abomination. And this dragon abomination was none other than the 3-headed dragon abomination that stirred up the wind and clouds previously. 3-headed dragon abomination, heinous crime. And that damned red-robed wizard. If it wasn't for him, Lady Windwitch wouldn't have died. Hurricane Sky Island. The communication device of the 7-circle wizard, Heavenly Domain Wizard King, rang. The one who sent the message was his old rival, Weather Controller, master of the Hurricane Steeple in the Endless Sea. As the top genius of the wizard world, as the pride of your Sky Island, the Sky Dragon Wizard actually abandoned his teammates and fled in front of the 3-headed dragon abomination. Is this your trump card? I'm so disappointed, old friend. After reading it, the corner of the Heavenly Domain Wizard King's eyes twitched. He sighed and said, "I knew this old thing would gloat." Sigh, just what is the background of this 3-headed dragon abomination? Could he really be the son of the level 10 dragon abomination Venerable? Ever since the ancient tower opened 44 years ago, the top geniuses have relied on the protection of the organization and their powerful strength to have a smooth journey. After the Battle of the Holy Grail, including Black Moon, there were already 2 top-notch geniuses who had fallen. Moreover, they had all died at the hands of the 3-headed dragon abomination. Heavenly Domain Wizard King knew that the top-notch geniuses who once sat on top with ease were no longer carefree. Currently, on the Io continent, the weak were gradually eliminated, and the situation of the strong standing side by side had already formed. Io's native civilization, who had been watching coldly, joined in. The great era of heroes had begun. Chapter 1318, Embryonic Miniature Plane. Storm City. Hurricane Sky Island residence. Sky Dragon Wizard finally heaved a sigh of relief when he returned home. Ever since he entered the ancient tower, the number of times he had encountered a life and death crisis could be counted on one hand. He did not expect that he would be forced to such a state by a dragon abomination this time. "What's going on?" asked the commander-in-chief. Queen Banyan colluded with a dragon abomination and ran away with him. The Holy Grail was also taken away. I went to chase after the dragon abomination, but I was no match for him, so I retreated, Sky Dragon Wizard said concisely. The commander-in-chief was silent for a moment. He sighed, forget it. It's fine as long as you're fine. The Holy Grail doesn't matter. Thank you for comforting me. That dragon abomination's strength is many times stronger than those we hunted previously. In the end, I only cared about running away, and I also left the thunderstorm wolf dragon behind. Now, it should be more or less dead. It's fine. It's just a sub-dragon. There's still a chance next time. In the Dragon Valley of the Nine Cities Alliance, there is one dragon which is one of the strongest sub-dragons. You just focus on cultivating and becoming stronger. We'll find an opportunity to snatch it back. That Simon barks all day long. I've been unhappy with him for a long time. On the other side, the commander of the Gale Steeple stared at the shattered soul token in his hand. The Wind Witch is dead. I've already said that these top geniuses shouldn't have come here to take risks. Now that she's dead, I hope her primordial soul great-grandma won't blame me. Youth Grassland. Earth was in a mess. The place where Queen Banyan originally sat was now filled with ravines and valleys. Queen Banyan lived for tens of thousands of years and was thousands of feet tall. Its roots had long spread over a radius of hundreds of miles. Her departure affected the entire situation and completely changed the landscape here. The Empire's airship hovered in the sky above this place. After paying a considerable price, the mages of the Empire basically won the war. They killed 6 level 5 wizards and foreign races on the spot, as well as dozens of level 4 existences, and seized a large number of spoils of war. However, Myriad Thunder Archmage was not happy at all. In the battle with the peak level 5 golem, he had used all his methods and even the trump card his teacher had given him, but he still couldn't stop the golem. He had even sustained some injuries. What made him even angrier was that the dragon demon who stole the Holy Grail had also escaped. Even though those idiots were piloting the Empire's airship, they still couldn't catch up to the dragon demon. Myriad Thunder had killed many dragon demons, but he had never encountered such a monstrous existence. If we don't get the Holy Grail back, the Archmage will definitely be furious. How unlucky! Myriad Thunder was at a loss. It was now the time when the Empire and the evil mages were at war. He didn't have any extra manpower to search for that dragon demon. Just you wait. I believe that you will definitely appear again. Next time, you will not be able to escape. Myriad Thunder boarded the airship and left with his team. As the saying goes, some people will be sad and some people will be happy. Happiness will not disappear, but will only be transferred to others. Levi took a long detour on the Io continent. After making sure that he had shaken off all the enemies, he hurried back to Dragon Palace Island. Today, it was the year 1209 of the Holy Brilliance calendar, the month of flowers. He was all smiles, looking at the island's current situation with the joy of a good harvest. Arrays, transcendent creatures, the botanical garden, and Aya who was cultivating alone. Everything was fine. Seeing this, Levi heaved a sigh of relief and returned to his seclusion. Although this trip is a little dangerous, it's worth it to be able to obtain the Holy Grail. Levi reviewed this operation in his head. In general, it was a surprise but not dangerous. It was all within his expectations. Levi was the one who had given Mana the wizard tools and herbs that had fallen from the sky. The purpose was to reduce the pressure on him to escape. There was no need to talk about herbs. He also chose some regular standard wizard tools, the kind that could not be traced back to its origins. This move was very useful. Most of the wizards stayed where they were and fought over the items. Only a small portion of them managed to catch up with Levi using special wizard tools or methods. It's a pity that my Crimson Emperor Dragon is not at level 5. Otherwise, it would be a piece of cake for me to deal with those top-notch geniuses. Even if I were to face the level 5 Amethyst race member, I would still be able to fight them. After Levi finished reviewing his day, he looked at the Holy Grail of Immortality with excitement in his eyes. Ha ha ha, here I come. Levi turned into a stream of light and entered the Holy Grail on the floor. When Levi reappeared, he was already in the Holy Grail space. This was different from Alice's ring where he could only enter it with his consciousness. Levi's body could enter the Holy Grail. After the Holy Grail devoured the ancient Banyan fairyland, it was essentially an embryonic form of a miniature plane. Of course, although it was just an embryonic plane, its actual size was comparable to Nora's medium-sized secret realm. Blue sky, white clouds, mountains, lakes, and the towering giant tree in the center of the fairyland, Queen Banyan, Mana. Mana's aura was unstable after she transferred the origin space to the Holy Grail. It was fluctuating between level 5 and level 6. The green leaves on the branches had all disappeared. Now, they were bare and lifeless, like dead wood. "Senior, how do you feel?" asked Levi. "I need some time to stabilize my realm, but you don't have to worry. Even if my realm falls, it's my own fault." "I won't blame you," said Mana. Levi thought, "I'm worried that if you fall to level 5, I'll lose a big level 6 support." Add latest chapters at free.novelo only. "Senior, is there anything that can help you stabilize your cultivation to level 6? Levi asked seriously. Mana remained silent. At this moment, the sound of the Holy Grail rang out in the space. Chapter 1319, Importance of Pandora's Root. "Naturally, there is. However, with your current strength, you should not be able to obtain it." "Pandora's Root?" Levi asked. The Holy Grail said, "That's right. Rose was transformed from Pandora's Root. The Pandora's Mother Tree is a level 10 existence, a true divine tree. If we could use the origin root to make up for Mana's deficiency, Mana should be able to stabilize her level 6 realm." However, Mana was too kind and couldn't bear to do anything to Rose. Otherwise, she would have had many opportunities to take Rose down and improve herself. Holy Grail said all these with a disappointed tone. On the ancient banyan tree, the figure of a young girl appeared. Compared to before, it was much thinner. This meant that Mana had indeed injured her core, and her vitality was greatly damaged. "I might have to sleep for a while to reduce the loss of my origin. If you're going to hunt Rose, be careful. After all, she was the mistress of the Dark Elf in the past. Now that her realm level has fallen, she's still not easy to deal with." "All right, Senior, you should rest," said Levi. Mana smiled bitterly and returned to the bare ancient banyan tree. During Mana's slumber, you can use normal plant nutrients to replenish her nutrients and reduce the loss of her origin, said the Holy Grail. "I understand." Levi immediately got busy. No matter what, he had to protect Mana's level realm. He used his knowledge of botany and pharmaceutics and used various rare materials to formulate nutrient fluids to infuse into the giant tree. For a level 6 existence like Senior, these nutrient fluids are probably better than nothing. Levi frowned. Finally, after a moment of hesitation, he took out a purple fertilizer and asked, "Deuxis, this nourishment comes from the accompanying spiritual creature of a truth oddity. I wonder if Senior Mana can use this." The Holy Grail's voice echoed in the world, "There's rich life force in this. It should be fine. After the plants consume these nutrients, their growth speed will increase by a lot. However, I'm not sure if it will have any adverse effects on a special divine tree like Senior Mana. I've tested it on animals before, and they all died without exception." Levi voiced his concerns. "Are you worried that forcefully accelerating the growth of plants will reduce Mana's lifespan?" asked the Holy Grail. "That's right," said Levi. Holy Grail replied with a smile, "You're overthinking things. Mana is a banyan tree and has a long lifespan. I've also nourished her with the spring water of immortality for tens of thousands of years. She has already mutated. Moreover, after devouring the world-changing leaf, she had already become a potential sapling of the divine tree. Her lifespan can no longer be measured with common sense. The life of a mortal is but a moment in front of her. Even the lifespan of a legendary wizard is just a period of time for her. To a certain extent, you can understand it this way. Mana is immortal. As long as she has enough energy, she can continue to grow until she becomes a world tree like Pandora's Mother Tree and becomes the ruler of a plane. When that time comes, if she were to fuse with a large plane, she would be able to live as long as the heavens and earth and shine as brightly as the sun and moon. Many powerful rulers of multidimensional planes use this method to extend their lifespans." After hearing this, Levi was shocked and said with a bitter smile, "Wizards pursue immortality and truth. I didn't expect Senior Mana to obtain it so easily." Holy Grail said, "You don't have to be discouraged. Wizards have short lifespans because they choose different paths. If Sauron had combined with Nora and become the god of Nora, he might have been able to live until now. However, he did not do so. That was not what he was pursuing. Remember, any immortality that can be easily obtained comes with a huge price. This was the case for the gods of the astral world, and it was the same for some of the rulers of the multidimensional planes. The difference is that the astral world is a big cage, while the plane is a small cage. The multidimensional plane is infinitely exciting and has infinite possibilities. The universe is vast. Only by truly being free and unfettered and transcending everything would one be able to obtain true eternal life. Levi pondered and found that it made sense. Those longevity species often had all kinds of costs and restrictions. They seemed to have a long lifespan, but in the long run, they were still not as powerful as the wizard civilization. Thank you for your explanation. Then I'll put all these nutrients by Senior Mana's side to help her recover her strength. When I'm strong enough, I'll find a way to find Rose and bring the Pandora's root back, said Levi. He had previously accumulated a lot of golden fertilizer and had originally planned to use it in the ancient Saint Plane. Now that he had a portable space, he might as well tidy up this place. There was a high chance that the ancient Saint Plane would be integrated into the Nora Plane in the future, becoming a part of it and exposed to the world. At that time, it would be uncertain whether Levi could defend the ancient Saint Plane. In comparison, the ancient Banyan fairyland that came with the Holy Grail was more suitable. During this period of communication, he also knew the use of the Holy Grail of immortality. The Holy Grail was collecting elemental energy and other beneficial factors from the world. Then, the spring water of immortality would be born within it. The spring water of immortality could reduce the number of illnesses, prolong life, and maintain vitality for mortals. With each generation, the probability of elemental and special talents being born would gradually increase. Chapter 1320, Potential of Ancient Banyan Fairyland. To wizards, the spring water of immortality was actually useful. It was just that the holy immortality water needed to be taken for a long time, and it was difficult to show any effects in the short term. Long-term consumption of the spring water of immortality could gradually strengthen a wizard's physical fitness and machinery heart. Moreover, in most potion formulas, the spring water of immortality could be used to replace pure water. Adding the spring water of immortality to the refining of the potion would increase the success rate and medicinal properties of the potion. Using the spring water of immortality to irrigate plants for a long time would cause evolution mutation of the plants. Mana had grown from a mortal tree to a transcendent tree after thousands of years of nourishment. She had even developed a human-like consciousness. In short, the effects of the spring water of immortality could not be seen in a short period of time. This was a treasure that would benefit the present and the future. For Levi to cultivate his own forces and build a botanical garden, the spring water of immortality was indispensable. In the center of the ancient Banyan fairyland, within the green mountains and clear waters, there was a small stone pool, from which a clear spring was bubbling. Levi held a handful of it in his hands and drank it in one gulp. It was very sweet. In the sky, the Holy Grail's voice sounded, as I fused with the ancient Banyan fairyland, there are a total of 118 spring spots in this small world that give birth to the spring water of immortality. Among them, there are 10 large-sized spring spots, 36 medium-sized spring spots, and 72 small-sized spring spots. The density of elemental power near these springs would be higher than in other areas of the fairyland. Different springs have different levels of density. I estimate that the elemental power near the large springs is as dense as some of the secret realms used by top-tier wizard organizations for cultivation. When Levi heard this, he was ecstatic. Another reason why top-notch geniuses cultivated so quickly was that they often cultivated in places with extremely dense elemental power. For example, the witch's family's base camp had much more elemental power than the outside world because of the magic tree. Now, Levi had 118 such places. The Holy Grail continued, these places can be called element-rich lands. They are divided into 3 levels, high, medium, and low. If you want to grow plants, cultivate transcendent creatures, or cultivate, you can arrange and use them reasonably. Levi nodded and smiled, this ancient Banyan fairyland is the true paradise. The Holy Grail continued, me, Mana, and the ancient Banyan fairyland have already fused into one. As Mana grows stronger, earth, fire, wind, and water will continue to create new worlds. The boundary of the ancient Banyan fairyland will also continue to expand, and more element-rich lands could be born. If Mana truly becomes a divine tree similar to the Pandora Mother's divine tree, the size of the ancient Banyan fairyland might be similar to some smaller large-sized plains. In short, it won't be worse than the Io continent under your feet. At that time, even the demi-plane of an ordinary legendary wizard would not be comparable to the ancient Banyan fairyland. This is the special feature of the divine tree. The power of the world-changing leaf is far beyond your imagination. It was rumored that every leaf born by the origin will represents the birth of a plain embryo. Each leaf represents the withering and death of a plane. That is why many civilizations had the saying one leaf, one world. Of course, a legendary wizard's demi-plane has its own advantages. For example, it could set its own plane rules. Those who violated the rules would be killed by the demi-plane. This is something that the ancient Banyan fairyland cannot do. After Holy Grail finished speaking, Levi felt a yearning in his heart. Regardless of whether the rumors were true or false, he had witnessed the power of the world-changing leaf. Mana, the world-changing leaf, and the Holy Grail of immortality have combined perfectly to create a super treasure that Sauron had never imagined. This treasure had unlimited potential. It might even become a treasure comparable to the Dark Ancient Tower in the future. Levi chatted with the Holy Grail for a long time and learned a lot about how to use it. For example, as the owner of the Holy Grail, he could open the door to the ancient Banyan fairyland at will around him. If Levi were to encounter a life or death crisis, he could absorb an enemy he could not defeat and seal it in the Holy Grail, allowing Mana to deal with it in the ancient Banyan fairyland. Of course, there were certain drawbacks to this. Fighting in the Holy Grail would inevitably cause damage to the flora and fauna of the ancient Banyan fairyland, the element-rich land, and other ecological environments. Thus, unless he had no other choice, Levi would not use this move. However, Levi also thought of some solutions that could reduce the damage. That was to set up a grand array in the Holy Grail. Levi would throw the enemies outside into the array and seal them up. Then, Levi would close the door and beat them up to reduce the damage to the ancient Banyan fairyland. Now, in the ancient Banyan fairyland, other than some naturally growing mortal plants and the occasional transcendent creatures that barged in, there was nothing else. Levi's next plan was to gradually transform and develop the ancient Banyan fairyland while he was cultivating. First, Levi had to move the plants he planted on Dragon Palace Island into it. Different herb gardens would be opened up in the elemental land for different plants. They were categorized and planted on a large scale, cultivated, and fertilized. Secondly, he would send all the transcendent creatures he possessed into the elemental land, allowing them to grow and reproduce freely. Thirdly, he would move the 8 heavenly dragon prison grand array to the ancient Banyan fairyland and create an exclusive arena. In the future, if Levi encountered a powerful enemy, he would directly send them in so that he and the transcendent creatures could fight the enemy together. After the enemy was killed, Long could even provide burial services. The corpses could be recycled and turned into fertilizer to protect the flowers. It could be said to be a one-stop service. Chapter 1321, Obtaining Flame Gathering Pot. In this way, Levi would be able to create a perfect world with a harmonious ecosystem, a perfect world where all living things could grow, and a true portable paradise. Levi only came out of the Holy Grail several days later. Levi took out the other 3 treasures and placed them together with the Holy Grail as he muttered to himself, "It wasn't easy for me to collect this 4-piece Sauron set. I might also be the fated person that Sauron mentioned. Logically speaking, there should be some changes next. For example, a kind-looking old Grandpa Sauron will appear and fulfill one of my wishes." After a long time, nothing happened. Forget it, I was thinking too much. I already have the Holy Grail of immortality, so why do I need more? It's also possible that I haven't fulfilled some trigger conditions yet. Levi looked at Dragon Palace Island and started to prepare for the move. Moving house was not a day's work. First of all, Levi had to let Long enter the ancient Banyan fairyland and find an element-rich land near the large spring. Long had to start loosening the soil and applying fertilizer in preparation for transplanting the rare plants. Just this alone would make Long work overtime for a long time. Levi arrived at the botanical garden. When Long saw him, Long immediately poked his head out of the ground, eager for food. "What a glutton! I'll bring you to a good place today." Levi opened the entrance of the ancient Banyan fairyland and let Long in. They came to the center of the fairyland, around the small stone pool. This was one of the 10 large springs. Levi named it number 001, Element Rich Land Small Stone Pond. This place would be Levi's main cultivation ground in the future. The most important and rare plants would also be planted here. The area of the small stone pond was mainly around the pond water and the river basin. It was about 10 square kilometers, which was enough for Levi to use. Levi planned to leave the remaining elemental land for other transcendent creatures to use or to plant cherry tomatoes on a large scale. After feeding Long some black beast meat, Long started digging. Levi came out of the ancient Banyan fairyland. He took out all the spoils of war from the previous operation and began to take inventory. The spoils of war came mainly from the Black Moon and Wind Witch, and some of them came from the Empire's mages. The gains of the Empire's mages were not worth mentioning. The most important thing was still the two top geniuses. From these two, Levi had obtained 2 million ether stones. Now, his ether stone reserves had completely reached 20 million. Besides the ether stones, the spell knowledge and meditation art of the two top geniuses' organizations were kept in Levi's library. Level 5 Black Crystal Ore, Level 5 Bright Wind Iron, Level 5 Fire Quicksand. Levi had obtained 3 types of Level 5 ores. Next, I'll use the Bright Wind Iron and the remaining Mist Sand to refine the Mesh's Winged Dragon. The Wind God model is about to be born. Levi was secretly delighted. The strength of the Wind God model was enough to suppress an ordinary 5th Circle senior wizard. It would greatly increase Levi's strength. Other than ores, there were also a large number of medicinal herbs, including some seeds. Keeping them. Levi's face was filled with the joy of a bumper harvest. Finally, the most important part was their wizard tools. For Black Moon, other than the one that Levi had destroyed, there were 2 items worth mentioning. One of them was called Flame Gathering Pot. It was something similar to a snuff bottle with a flame pattern carved on it. After studying it, Levi was pleasantly surprised to find that it was not an ordinary wizard tool, but a treasure similar to the Holy Grail of immortality. Treasures were not classified according to the standards of wizard tools, and the method of making them was also different from wizard tools, so it was difficult to classify them. Usually, the quality of the materials used to make it was roughly judged. However, no matter what, only materials that were at least level 6 and above could be used to create treasures. Therefore, treasures were generally powerful and rare, and they often had various special functions. To think Black Moon actually had such a treasure. It seems like he really is the descendant of Black Sun Adam. Don't tell me this fellow has a son called Black Star. Levi complained as he opened the snuff bottle. Among them, there were black beads that emitted scorching heat. Levi had seen a lot of things and was even a 5th Circle weapon craftsman, so he had already guessed the function of this snuff bottle. The function was to condense flames and form black beads. These beads could cause terrifying explosions when thrown out. These black beads must have been condensed by Black Moon using the Black Sun demonic flame. They should be quite powerful. After some research, Levi quickly mastered the usage of the flame gathering pot. Simply put, the flame gathering pot could compress and condense any flame into the so-called fire pill. Then, it was ejected out through the mouth of the snuff bottle. Well, this was a gun from the wizard world. The raw materials were all kinds of flames, and the best ones were different types of flames. The more types of flames there were, the stronger the fire pill would be. It was similar to the 3 dragons flaming kill that Levi had created himself. Levi guessed that the Black Moon only had one type of Black Sun demonic flame in his body, so the power of the fire pill was average and not even as good as an innate spell. That was why Levi had not seen Black Moon use it before he died. The most up-to-date novels are published on Fruit Noello. To most wizards, this treasure was of little value. But for Levi, it was different. There were many different types of flames in his body: Red Emperor Dragon Flame, Void Black Flame, Dark Death Flame, and Blue Moon Flame. Levi had always been troubled by the fact that he could not fuse the Dark Death Flame with the other 3 types of strange flames. Now that he had this treasure, this problem might be solved. Thinking of this, he began to pour all kinds of flames into the flame gathering pot. Chapter 1322, Wizard Tools Gained. Inside the bottle, the 4 different colored flames began to merge and condense. From gas flames, they turned into incomparably round 4-colored fire pills. After absorbing more than half of Levi's 4 great flames, the flame gathering pot stopped absorbing flames. This was because the gun chamber was already filled with fire pills and could not accommodate any more. Levi counted them and it was exactly 10. Let's test the power of this gun from the wizard world. Levi carried the snuff bottle and came to the surface of the sea happily. Levi opened the lid and tapped the bottle lightly. Bang! There was an explosion. A 4-colored fire pill shot out. It was so fast that it arrived in an instant like lightning. Even a 5th Circle wizard would find it difficult to dodge. Boom! On the distant sea, a 4-colored flame shot into the sky, forming a small mushroom cloud. The shockwave swept across a radius of several miles. Everything within the radius of the explosion was burned to ashes. Huge waves rolled up on the surface of the sea and spread in all directions. Oh my God, I misunderstood. This isn't a gun, it's a missile. The power of that attack was much stronger than Levi's innate spell, Fire Dragon Tribulation. In terms of power, it was second only to the Holy Infant's 9 Dragon Tribulation and 100 Talisman Explosion, as well as Levi's full state Sword Chi. The Flame Gathering Pot could shoot 10 shots of such an attack. All Levi needed to do was to store 10 fire pills. What an unexpected surprise! I've really picked up a treasure. The value of this treasure was no less than a wizard's soul artifact. Any top-grade wizard tool could not be compared to this at all. This kind of heaven-defying treasure would have been completely covered in dust if it was with Black Moon. Now, it's finally used to its fullest potential. The flame-gathering pot turned into a stream of light and entered Levi's mind. Other than this treasure, Black Moon also had a black, round wizard tool on him. According to Levi's research, this should be a 5th circle top-grade wizard tool. It had several functions. The first was to fly, which was extremely fast and could even catch up to Levi, who was running away using the Scarlet Dark Dimension. With this wizard tool, the wizard world would be safe without any trouble if he did not provoke a level 6 and some perfected 5th circle wizard. Black Moon was too greedy. If he wanted to escape, Levi would not be able to do anything to him. In the end, Black Moon just had to give his head to Levi. Overconfident people often died miserably. In the transcendent world, one had to be humble and cautious at all times, as if they were treading on thin ice, in order to live long. The second function of the Black Disc Wizard tool was to see through some arrays, illusions, maze realms, and even those methods that used different dimensions to escape, such as the Shadow Dimension and the Scarlet Dark Dimension. Of course, if the realm was too high, it would not be of any use. With this treasure, Levi could see through the Shadow School of Thought's stealth spell. All in all, this was an extremely powerful wizard tool. Whether it was practical or precious, it was not inferior to the Holy Infant's ancient Burning Sky umbrella. It could be said to be the best of the best. This item belongs to me now. Levi removed the restriction on it and sent it into his mind, naming it the Black Sun Compass. Compared to Black Moon, the Wind Chime was the only wizard tool left behind by the Wind Witch that caught Levi's attention. This was also a pretty good top-grade wizard tool, and it was a rare set of wizard tools. There were a total of 1001 wind chimes. A 5th circle main bell for control. The remaining 1000 child bells, if taken individually, would be a 3rd circle, ordinary grade wizard tool. However, if they were combined, they would become an extremely practical and powerful 5th circle top-grade wizard tool that could be used for both offense and defense. When defending, 1000 wind chimes could form the 1000 wind protection. Levi had already witnessed its defensive capabilities. Under the terrifying sword chi attacks of the 3-headed dragon god, it had lasted for a very long time without shattering. Presumably, even if a perfected 5th circle wizard came, this would be able to withstand a few moves and create the conditions for escape. When attacking, it was divided into 2 forms, Hurricane Domain and Sigh of the Wind Maiden. Under the control of the Hurricane Domain Master, Levi's dragon god was trapped within and it took some effort to break free. The Sigh of the Wind Maiden was a spell that focused on killing. 1,000 wind chimes formed an array and all of them released attacks, forming a Sigh of the Goddess of Wind spell. It was so powerful that it could instantly kill a 5th circle senior wizard. If a perfected 5th circle wizard was not careful, he would be injured. If the Wind Witch had used this move, Levi would have suffered a lot. Fortunately, he and the Holy Infant cooperated well and killed her in advance. Levi named the Wind Chime Wizard Bell of 1,000 Winds. If the Black Sun Compass was a top-grade wizard tool that focused on escaping and assisting, then the Bell of 1,000 Winds was a top-grade wizard tool that focused on killing and defense. With the combination of the two, Levi could even fight against a perfected 5th circle wizard. I can use these 2 wizard tools for myself. I just have to be careful when I use it, or else my identity will be exposed. Levi was in a good mood, and he sent the wizard tools into the Divine Ring Tower. 5 treasures and 3 wizard tools were all spinning inside. A full set of top-grade equipment. I feel so safe. After taking stock of his gains, Levi waited for long to loosen the soil before continuing his cultivation. A month later. In the place where Levi was in seclusion. Strength Rune Proficiency plus 365, Strength Rune upgraded to level 11. This is great. My Strength Rune has broken through. Just as he was feeling smug, something strange happened in Levi's mind. Levi's expression was slightly shocked as he sent his consciousness into it. Inside the 7-colored crystal, a bowl-shaped strength rune was shining with dazzling starlight. Chapter 1323, Astral Soul Creno-Ode. The bowl seemed to have come alive. In an instant, Levi suddenly had a new message in his mind. Astral Soul, Levi muttered to himself. The bowl turned into a beam of light and soared into the sky. It was late at night when Levi came out. In the pitch-black night, countless stars dotted the sky. Among these stars, there was one that was emitting a burning light. The roar of a bull echoed in his mind. It was filled with a wild aura as if it could uproot a mountain. In the next moment, a dazzling starlight pillar descended from the sky and covered Levi. This shocked Levi. The starlight was like the Milky Way hanging upside down. It was nighttime, and it was extremely bright. It would probably attract the attention of people with ulterior motives. However, when he thought about how Dragon Palace Island was a desolate place, he heaved a sigh of relief. After the starlight pillar disappeared, Levi's mind was filled with the rainbow crystal. There was an illusory mini bowl running around the crystal like a planet revolving around a star. Levi heaved a sigh of relief. This strange phenomenon came and went quickly. He opened the proficiency panel. Levi. Strength rune, level 11, 1/300,000. Special effect, Horned Bull Constellation Power, level 11. Astral Soul Horned Bull. Horned Bull Constellation Power, level 11. Communicate with the Horned Bull Constellation using rune language. The power of the stars will increase your strength. The current strength increase is 100%. As expected, it has increased by 100%. Levi glanced at it and looked at the second special effect. Astral Soul Horned Bull. As your connection with the Horned Bull constellation becomes closer, you can communicate with the soul of the Horned Bull constellation and use the power of the stars to condense an astral soul that is not higher than your current realm. Hiss, even after the strength is increased by 100%, it still has such a function. Even the hermit runes have reached the maximum, but it still does not have such a function. What's the reason? Generally speaking, only living things had a soul. In most people's understanding, constellations, stars, and the like. It should be something like a plane or a planet. However, in the Starforger civilization, they could communicate with the stars through language of stars and obtain all kinds of unimaginable abilities. Could it be that the stars in the Starforger civilization are not ordinary stars, but star-like life forms with life? If that's the case, how terrifying would the strength of these astral life forms be? They should be comparable to legendary wizards. His gaze focused on the two words Horned Bull, and lines of information appeared. Astral Soul Horned Bull. Star name, Creno-Ode. Star, Justice, Fairness. Star language, Strength, Rune language. Level, 5. Ability, Righteous Charge. Righteous Charge. The Horned Bull will launch an unstoppable straight charge, causing a destructive impact on all enemies and obstacles along the way. Please note, Creno-Ode never takes detours. Seeing this, Levi's eyes lit up. He communicated with the mini Horned Bull in his mind. Levi commanded, Creno-Ode never takes detours. In the next moment, endless starlight fell on Dragon Palace Island again. Tisk! Does this move have to be so loud? Levi couldn't help but curse. The starlight covered a radius of several kilometers. Behind Levi, the shadow of a giant mountain bull with a height of 50 meters and a length of nearly 100 meters appeared. The giant bull's muscles were round and bulging. Its nostrils breathed out starlight, and its entire body was made of dreamy starlight. It was like a dream. One could vaguely see the patterns of mountains and seas covering its body as if it were looking at a three-dimensional topographic map. Levi could feel the terrifying energy in the giant bull's body. Even he was a little afraid. As soon as the giant bull appeared, it charged forward. A shocking scene played out on the sea under the night sky. The terrifying aura lifted the waves on both sides, forming two sea walls that were as high as 100 meters. The giant bull split the sea in the middle. After charging for 5 kilometers, the giant bull still hadn't dissipated. Until an isolated island with a radius of about a mile appeared in front of them. Boom! An earth-shattering collision. In an instant, the starlight in the sky was torn apart, and countless light spots flew everywhere. The energy fluctuation of more than 400 Ka caused an unimaginable shock wave, and a tsunami swept toward Dragon Palace Island. Levi waved his hand, and the golden shield and scarlet cloak enlarged, blocking the tsunami. The power of this move is comparable to the 9-dragon tribulation. Was this the strength of an astral soul? How terrifying! Levi gasped. After such a shocking collision, the giant bull phantom became much thinner, but it still did not dissipate. It charged forward for another 10 miles before slowly dissipating. As expected, the bull does not take detours. Everything the bull collides with is sent flying, Levi ridiculed. Suddenly, he felt dizzy. Then, Levi felt his spiritual force draining. This move consumes a little too much spiritual force. With my current realm, the price to pay for using it is not small. If I have perfection in the 5th circle, I should be able to relax a lot, Levi analyzed. The might of the collision of this horned bull astral soul was beyond words. It was just too grand. Every time Levi used it, it would be a star-like phenomenon that connected the sky and the earth, afraid that others would not be able to see it. This move can only be used in a sparsely populated place. Otherwise, others will think that I have a treasure here. He shook his head, returned to Dragon Palace Island, and began to meditate. Astral world. In the void ocean, many star-like spheres floated. This was the country of the gods, or simply the kingdom of gods. There were powerful gods, their angels, divine servants, believers, and so on. Among them, some kingdoms of gods had already shattered and were collapsing in the sea of ruins. There were many incomplete divine skeletons floating in them. In the eyes of mortals, just a finger bone was like a mountain peak. One could see how powerful a god was. On the mountain-like finger bone, countless ferocious dark insects were absorbing the remaining divine power. Led by the level 10 existence among the bugs, these bugs were like locusts, crazily spreading to the edge of the astral world. All of a sudden, the sea of ruins in the distance surged, raising huge waves. Some of the kingdoms of gods floating in the sea of ruins were shifted by the flow. In the middle of the huge wave, a bull as huge as a star charged straight at him. Its body was covered in layers of the earth's crust and rocks. Above them were clouds shrouded in starlight, endless mountains, rivers flowing into the sea, and vast grasslands. One could vaguely see all kinds of creatures living in them. The bull's horn on its forehead hung a long and slender snake. The giant snake also covered the earth's crust, rock layers, mountains, and dry seabed. It looked like it had been dead for many years. Its corpse had decayed, the sea had dried up, the mountains had collapsed, and lava was everywhere. It was lifeless. Even so, from the little bit of power that leaked from its death, its strength when it was alive might not be much weaker than the bull. The bull charged over. The huge hooves of the bull trampled the bugs and the broken kingdom of gods into pieces and scattered in the void ocean. The roar of the giant bull was earth-shattering and shook the world. Wherever it passed, starlight surged, gods and demons were repelled, and a white line was torn open in the boundless void ocean. On a battlefield between the gods and the demons, the angels' terrified voices sounded, "Quick, retreat! The righteous Creno Ode is here again." Chapter 1324, The Blood Demon Falls, 1. Astral World, Void Ocean. On the battlefield, streaks of light flew to both sides, making way for the oncoming bull. Accompanied by a forceful, mountain-crushing momentum that shattered the heavens and earth, some angels who couldn't dodge in time were directly shattered by the bull, their remnants dissipating into the void ocean. The unsuspecting insectoid army was trampled, leaving a wide swath of destruction. The angels, watching the swiftly retreating bull, couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Unknowingly, another 10,000 years have passed, and the righteous Creno Ode has circled the astral world once again. Did you see the serpent on its horns? It looked like Alvarado. Yes, the hidden serpent, the serpent of forgetfulness. It's said to be one of the more peculiar star beasts, a being as powerful as a god, yet it always manages to go unnoticed, lacking any presence whatsoever. How unfortunate, to have been killed by Creno Ode. Still, thanks to Creno Ode, we've gained some breathing room. The angels and divine servants plunged back into the battlefield, fighting tirelessly for their gods, until death. In the sea of ruins, the bull, which ran eternally in a straight line, held a world within its eyes. Inside, a figure was communicating with their astral soul. In this multidimensional plane, there are still star speakers who can summon my astral soul. Interesting. It seems that after the astral world's destruction of the Starforger plane, some lucky ones managed to escape. If it weren't for Alvarado's betrayal of our divine palace, the powerful Starforger civilization wouldn't have been annihilated by the gods. People thought that the hidden serpent was accidentally killed by Creno Ode, but it was not so. It was intentional. As one of the oldest beings in the divine palace, Creno Ode ran endlessly around the astral world, smashing all the evil, betrayal, and darkness encountered along the way. This was his star nature, his path of righteousness. Creno-Ode was curious how far the star speaker could go. Weak star speaker, I await your return in the astral world. Dark ancient tower, 5th layer, southwest of Io continent, outer sea region. Thousands of miles from Dragon Palace Island, on a volcanic island. At this moment, the Blood Demon Tower Master floated high in the sky, gazing into the far distance. Just now, in the distance, a faintly visible white beam pierced the heavens and earth. The distance was too great to see what had happened clearly. In fact, flying there would take some time. Could it be the emergence of a rare treasure? The Blood Demon Tower Master muttered to himself. 8 years ago, during the chaos when the Black Beast Tide hit the 9 Cities Alliance, he had snatched the Dead Soul Date Tree. Afterward, he came to this isolated outer sea region. Here, it was extremely safe. This desolate place, where not even birds visited, was devoid of black beasts, let alone other wizards. Of course, the opportunities here were also pitifully scarce. 23 years had passed since he obtained the Cry of the Cicada. During this time, his cultivation had advanced beyond that of a senior 5th Circle wizard, but he was still far from achieving 5th Circle perfection. It's rare to encounter the emergence of a possible rare treasure. It would be a shame not to investigate. But, if there's any risk, my oddities and the Dead Soul Date Tree would be lost. What should I do? The Blood Demon Tower Master constantly questioned himself. Should he continue cultivating steadily, waiting for the ancient tower to close so he could return to the wizard world and achieve 5th Circle perfection? Or should he take a risk and investigate the phenomenon? This extraordinary phenomenon might indicate the birth of a powerful treasure, perhaps even an oddity above the morning star level. His expression was hesitant, his mind torn. With such an opportunity before me, how can I be so cowardly? Even with the assistance of the Cry of the Cicada, the probability of advancing to the primordial soul is still low and fraught with danger. If I could obtain more oddities or treasures, it would surely be more secure. I already possess 7 great talents, and my spiritual force is nearing 800. With such strength, even top-tier geniuses might not be my match. Moreover, the innate spells I practice are primarily for survival. Even if there is a risk, as long as it's not from a 6th Circle being, I should be able to escape. Besides, I still have the secret technique from the Holy Book of Blood to call upon divine aid. Reassuring himself continuously, the Blood Demon Tower Master made his decision. He would take one last risk. I swear, after this, I will wash my hands of all this and become a good person, never risking my life again. With his resolve steeled, the Blood Demon Tower Master transformed into a streak of blood and sped towards the source of the phenomenon. A life lived on the edge needs no explanation. Dragon Palace Island. Levi, having consumed a spiritual force recovery potion, was meditating. If summoning an astral soul is possible when the strength rune reaches 100%, could the same be true for the chariot rune at 100%? For instance, summoning a chariot to crush my enemies or carry me away. Recently, he had been preoccupied with post-5th Circle matters and hadn't had the chance to learn new runes. Levi opened the Book of Starforge Runes and began studying new runes. So far, he had learned Strength, Chariot, Hermit, and Lovers, which represented strength, speed, invisibility, and luck, respectively. He continued flipping through the pages until he reached a new one, depicting a complex, constellation-like rabbit. Chapter 1325, The Blood Demon Falls, 2. Unlike ordinary rabbits, this one had a long tail, resembling that of a fox, and its body was more proportionate. Moon Rune, Levi read aloud, the rune language connects to the lunar hare constellation, using the power of stars to maintain your physical and mental health. Levi carefully studied the text before beginning to meditate. However, shortly after starting, a sense of unease and danger crept over him. There's an enemy. He didn't panic. The 8 heavenly dragon prison outside provided sufficient security. Still, to be cautious, he decided to leave his meditation chamber. Thunder Rock, Ganon Kui, Sawkins, Pixar, be on guard. We have an enemy approaching. He instructed the transcendent creatures to prepare, while he used invisibility runes to leave Dragon Palace Island and head out to meet the threat. If he could eliminate the enemy in advance, that would be ideal. He didn't want Dragon Palace Island and its transcendent creatures to be broadcasted by the Dark Ancient Tower. After all, Sawkins and Thunder Rock had appeared on the broadcasts before, making it easier to reveal his identity. He hid in the vast ocean, watching a blood-red light rapidly approach from the distance. The Blood Demon Tower Master gazed at the island ahead, his expression grave. The starlight anomaly came from this place. There's something strange about this island. I must be careful, he warned himself. At that moment, the sound of sword chi whistling through the void reached his ears. The Blood Demon Tower Master's expression shifted as he looked behind him. A dragon abomination, wielding a massive black flame sword, had somehow appeared behind him and launched a surprise attack. Damn it, it's a trap. The Blood Demon Tower Master had anticipated this possibility. His protective force field flickered to life. First talent, Blood Flame Boundary. A wave of blood-colored light spread out from him, slowing any attacks that entered its range. The sword chi that tore through the Blood Flame Boundary also slowed down, allowing the Blood Demon Tower Master to narrowly avoid the strike. A domain-type spell, Levi murmured in mild surprise, a smile forming on his lips. You've got some tricks, wizard. He actually recognized this wizard. Many years ago, he had seen his likeness in the Fire Crocodile City Lord's portrait within the realm of Crimson. What he didn't know was that the original Fire Crocodile City Master had long since died, and the one now occupying his body was the Blood Demon Tower Master. Listen, Dragon Abomination, friend, I'm just passing through. I have no intention of causing trouble. There's no need for us to fight to the death. While you are a Dragon Abomination, I am a senior 5th Circle Wizard, not far from achieving 5th Circle Perfection. If we battle, the outcome will only be mutual destruction. The Blood Demon Tower Master had deflected Levi's sword chi attack and remained composed. Levi grinned, then let's find out who dies and who survives. Black flames swirled around him as he swung his long sword once more. You're going too far. The Blood Demon Tower Master let out a furious roar. With a wave of his hand, a torrent of blood-red flames surged towards Levi, like a vast river of fire. The Blood Fire Demon Tower faction, though small, practiced a formidable meditation art known as the Blood Flame Meditation Art. Similar to the Black Sun Meditation Art, it was created by dark wizards and belonged to the rare Burning faction, producing a unique type of flame upon mastery. The flame wielded by the Blood Demon Tower Master was called Scarlet Demon Fire. While its temperature wasn't as intense as ordinary fire, it had a terrifying effect. It could cause the blood within an enemy's body to boil, leading those with insufficient strength to explode and ignite from within. Levi could feel the blood in his veins beginning to boil, threatening to rupture his blood vessels. This ability mirrored the special effect of his own crimson breathing technique, boiling blood, though he rarely used it, preferring to defeat enemies with a single sword strike. This spell has an interesting concept, but unfortunately for you, I am a dragon abomination. Levi growled, suppressing the boiling blood with his powerful physical control. Simultaneously, he opened his mouth and unleashed a torrent of black flames towards the Blood Demon Tower Master. Today, I shall show you my true power and slay you where you stand, the Blood Demon Tower Master sneered. His fingers danced in the air, weaving intricate patterns. Suddenly, countless fiery rays shot towards Levi from all angles, chaotic and unpredictable. Third talent, Blood Chaos Realm. The barrage of rays caused the ocean surface to erupt in a series of explosions. Around Levi, 3,000 feather blades whirled and danced. Go! Levi commanded. With a sharp sound, the blades, crackling with wind and thunder, darted forward, slicing through the incoming rays and extinguishing them. You possess such a rare treasure, but soon it will belong to me, the Blood Demon Tower Master said with greed in his eyes. He didn't recognize Levi's divine weapon, mistaking it for some exotic artifact. He pointed to the sky, and blood-red clouds began to gather above them. Levi's expression darkened as he recalled the 3,000 feather blades to form a protective shield around him. With a deafening crash, a blood-red pillar of light descended from the sky, striking Levi and sending him crashing into the ocean below. The impact created a massive crater in the water, so deep it seemed bottomless. Seventh talent, Blood God's Retribution. Why force me to use my seventh talent? You brought this on yourself, the Blood Demon Tower Master taunted with a cold smile. As a senior 5th Circle Wizard, he had mastered 3 3rd Circle talents, 2 4th Circle talents, and his formidable 5th Circle talents. The move he had just used was his strongest, the 7th talent. Under this attack, any ordinary senior 5th Circle Wizard would be gravely injured, if not killed outright. He sneered, confident in his superiority. In a single thought, he summoned another blood-red pillar of light, which descended with even greater force.